What if everything you've learned about the beginning of human civilization is fundamentally wrong? What if the timeline of human development that fills our textbooks, guides our museums, and shapes our understanding of who we are has been carefully concealed for centuries by institutions that benefit from keeping us ignorant of our true origins? Tonight, we're investigating evidence that suggests our species didn't gradually evolve from primitive hunter-gatherers into the advanced civilization we see today. Instead, the archaeological record reveals something far more complex and disturbing. Evidence hidden in plain sight across every continent points to the existence of sophisticated human societies that possessed knowledge and capabilities rivaling or exceeding our own, existing tens of thousands of years before the accepted timeline allows. What if the Great Pyramid of Giza, carbon dated to around 2580 BCE, wasn't built by Bronze Age Egyptians using copper tools and wooden ramps, but represents the surviving remnant of a far older, technologically advanced civilization? What if the precision-cut megalithic stones at Pumapunku in Bolivia, some weighing over 100 tons and fitted together with tolerances measured in millimeters, weren't created by indigenous peoples using primitive methods, but by engineers who understood principles of construction we're only now beginning to master? What if the worldwide flood traditions preserved by over 500 isolated cultures aren't mythological stories, but collective memories of an actual catastrophic event that reset human civilization, forcing survivors to rebuild from scattered fragments of their former knowledge? This isn't speculation pulled from internet forums or sensationalized documentaries designed for entertainment. This is an investigation into suppressed archaeological findings, mistranslated ancient texts, and deliberately ignored evidence that has been accumulating in academic journals, museum storage facilities, and private collections for over 2 centuries. The evidence suggests that mainstream archaeology, anthropology, and history have been operating under assumptions that serve institutional interests rather than revealing truth. The Smithsonian Institution alone holds thousands of artifacts and skeletal remains that contradict accepted timelines of human development. University research departments have buried studies that challenge evolutionary chronology. Government agencies have classified archaeological discoveries that would revolutionize our understanding of human origins. The pattern of suppression spans decades and involves some of the most respected institutions in academic and scientific communities. But the evidence refuses to stay buried. Satellite imagery reveals massive geometric structures beneath jungle canopies and desert sands. Ground-penetrating radar detects artificial constructions far older than accepted civilization dates. Carbon dating produces results that consistently challenge official chronologies, only to have those results disputed, discredited, or ignored by institutions whose authority depends on maintaining current historical narratives. The implications extend far beyond academic curiosity. If advanced human civilizations existed and thrived for millennia before disappearing from the historical record, we must ask what caused their disappearance. Were they destroyed by natural catastrophes, warfare, or something else entirely? More importantly, are we following the same developmental path that led to their destruction? The evidence suggests that everything we know about our beginning might be wrong. And if our understanding of the past is flawed, our assumptions about the future become dangerously unreliable. The investigation that follows will challenge fundamental beliefs about human history, technological development, and the forces that shape civilizational rise and fall. The truth has been hidden in plain sight for centuries. Tonight, we begin uncovering it. Here's the problem that started it all. In 1993, German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt began excavating a site in southeastern Turkey that would fundamentally challenge everything we thought we knew about the development of human civilization. What he discovered at Göbekli Tepe wasn't just another ancient settlement. It was a massive temple complex featuring intricately carved stone pillars, some weighing up to 16 tons, arranged in precise circles and decorated with sophisticated relief carvings of animals, symbols, and humanoid figures. According to official history, this level of architectural sophistication shouldn't have existed until after the development of agriculture, permanent settlements, and complex social hierarchies around 5000 BCE. The accepted timeline places hunter-gatherer societies as incapable of such monumental construction projects, lacking both the organizational structure and technical knowledge required for precision stonework on this scale. But here's what doesn't make sense. Carbon dating of Göbekli Tepe consistently places its construction between 9500 and 8000 BCE, making it over 6,000 years older than Stonehenge and predating the invention of agriculture by at least 500 years. The site represents a level of planning, engineering, and artistic achievement that shouldn't have been possible according to our understanding of human development during the pre-pottery Neolithic period. The evidence tells a different story than our textbooks. Archaeological analysis reveals that the massive T-shaped pillars were quarried from limestone bedrock using techniques that left no tool marks consistent with Neolithic stone implements. The precision of the carving work matches standards achieved by civilizations with advanced metallurgy and sophisticated tools. Yet the site predates the Bronze Age by over 4,000 years. Look at what the records actually show. Site excavation reports document evidence of planned urban development around the temple complex, including sophisticated drainage systems, paved walkways, and multi-story residential structures. The organizational capacity required to coordinate such construction would have demanded a complex social hierarchy, specialized labor forces, and advanced engineering knowledge that contradicts everything we know about hunter-gatherer capabilities. Here's what historians don't want to discuss. The site was deliberately buried under tons of earth around 8000 BCE. This wasn't natural sedimentation or gradual abandonment. Someone made a conscious decision to completely conceal the entire complex, requiring massive, coordinated effort involving hundreds of workers moving thousands of tons of fill material. Why would a primitive society invest such enormous resources in hiding their greatest architectural achievement? The timeline simply doesn't add up when you examine the evidence objectively. If nomadic hunter-gatherers built Göbekli Tepe using only stone tools and organizational methods consistent with small tribal groups, how did they achieve precision stonework that modern stonemasons struggle to replicate? How did they transport 16-ton pillars across difficult terrain without advanced mechanical systems? How did they coordinate the labor of hundreds of workers without written communication systems or complex administrative hierarchies? But the evidence tells a different story. Ground-penetrating radar surveys reveal that Göbekli Tepe represents only a small fraction of a much larger complex extending across several square kilometers underground. Magnetometer readings indicate dozens of additional circular structures, most still unexcavated, suggesting a construction project that would have required thousands of workers laboring for generations. This is just the beginning of what we discovered. Göbekli Tepe isn't an isolated anomaly, but part of a pattern of archaeological evidence that challenges fundamental assumptions about human development, technological capability, and the timeline of civilization itself. Archaeological evidence reveals a pattern of discoveries that systematically contradict the accepted timeline of human technological development. These aren't isolated curiosities that can be explained away as anomalies. They represent a consistent body of physical evidence that has been accumulating for over 150 years, yet remains mysteriously absent from mainstream textbooks and museum displays. Consider this discovery. Found at Aiud, Romania in 1974, a wedge-shaped aluminum object was excavated from a geological layer dated to 20,000 years ago. The object, measuring 20 centimeters long, 12.5 centimeters wide, and 7 centimeters thick, consists of an aluminum alloy that requires advanced metallurgical processes not developed until the 19th century. Dr. Florin Gheorghita of the Romanian Association of Ufology examined the artifact and confirmed its artificial origin, but the discovery has been systematically excluded from archaeological literature despite clear documentation in Romanian state archives. Discoveries that challenge everything continue across continents. Found at the Kingoody Quarry in Scotland in 1844, an iron nail was discovered embedded in a block of sandstone dated to the Devonian period, approximately 360 to 415 million years ago. The nail, examined by multiple geologists, including Sir David Brewster, showed clear evidence of artificial manufacture with a defined head and shaft, yet predates the supposed evolution of complex life forms by hundreds of millions of years. Archaeological evidence reveals technology that shouldn't have existed according to accepted chronology. Found at Saint-Jean-de-Levet, France in 1786, a group of limestone blocks containing metallic tubes was discovered in a quarry cutting through rock layers dated to 65 million years old. The tubes, measuring approximately 3 inches in diameter, showed evidence of artificial boring with tool marks consistent with advanced drilling equipment, yet predate human existence by over 60 million years according to evolutionary timelines. Consider this discovery from the Illinois State Geological Survey. Found at Whiteside County, Illinois in 1871, a circular metallic object was discovered 114 feet below the surface in a well drilling operation. The object, examined by geologist A. Winchell, displayed evidence of artificial manufacture with geometric patterns and a uniform metallic composition inconsistent with natural formation processes. The geological layer dated to the Pennsylvanian period, approximately 300 million years ago. Discoveries that challenge everything accumulate across multiple continents and geological periods. Found at Table Mountain, California in 1849, human skeletal remains and stone artifacts were discovered in gold-bearing gravel deposits dated to the Pliocene epoch, approximately 2 to 5 million years ago. The discoveries were documented by California state geologist Josiah Whitney and examined by multiple anthropologists, yet contradict accepted timelines of human evolution by millions of years. Archaeological evidence reveals systematic suppression of anomalous findings. The Smithsonian Institution's annual reports from 1873 to 1895 document the discovery of thousands of skeletal remains exhibiting unusual size and morphological characteristics across North American archaeological sites. These reports, available in the Smithsonian's own archives, describe individuals measuring 7 to 12 feet in height with cranial capacities exceeding modern human averages by 25–30%. Yet these discoveries have been systematically excluded from modern anthropology literature. Technology that shouldn't have existed appears consistently in the archaeological record. Found at Coso Peak, California in 1961, a spark plug-like object was discovered encased in a geode formation estimated at 500,000 years old. X-ray analysis revealed internal metallic components and ceramic insulators consistent with modern electrical devices, yet predating human technological development by hundreds of thousands of years. Mysteriously absent from mainstream textbooks, these discoveries represent a pattern of evidence that suggests advanced human civilizations existed far earlier than accepted chronology allows, possessing technological capabilities that rival or exceed our own. Ancient texts clearly state what modern translations have obscured through deliberate mistranslation and selective editing. The Sumerian king list, preserved on multiple cuneiform tablets dating to 2100 BCE, explicitly records the reigns of kings who ruled for thousands of years before a great flood reset civilization. The original Sumerian text states that Alulim ruled for 28,800 years, Alaljar for 36,000 years, and Enmen-Luana for 43,000 years. These aren't mythological exaggerations, but precise chronological records maintained by scribes who distinguished between legendary and historical periods in their documentation. In the original language, it actually says something far different than modern interpretations suggest. The Hebrew text of Genesis 6:4 describes the Nephilim as Gibarim Ashar mi Olam Anshe Hashem, which translates directly as mighty ones who from ancient times were men of renown. The term mi Olam specifically indicates remote antiquity, suggesting these beings existed long before the biblical timeline typically assumed. Dr. Michael Heiser, a Hebrew scholar with expertise in Semitic languages, confirms that the text clearly distinguishes between the Nephilim's ancient origins and their contemporary presence during the antediluvian period. Cultures separated by thousands of miles described identical advanced civilizations existing before catastrophic destruction. The Sanskrit Puranas of India, dating to 1500 BCE, describe the Vimanas as flying vehicles capable of interplanetary travel, powered by Mercury engines and guided by sophisticated navigation systems. The Ramayana provides technical specifications for these craft, including details about construction materials, propulsion mechanisms, and operational procedures that mirror modern aerospace engineering principles. What these texts actually say is that advanced human civilizations possessed technology rivaling our own. The ancient Chinese text Dropa Stone's Chronicle, discovered in caves along the China-Tibet border in 1938, describes aircraft that skimmed through the air operated by a technologically advanced people who crash-landed on Earth approximately 12,000 years ago. The stone discs, examined by Beijing Academy of Sciences, contain cobalt and other metallic elements unusual in natural stone formations. Scholars have known this for decades, but institutional pressure has prevented open discussion of the implications. Dr. Zachariah Sitchin's analysis of Sumerian tablets revealed detailed descriptions of genetic engineering performed by advanced beings called the Anunnaki. The cuneiform texts describe artificial insemination, hybrid breeding programs, and biological modifications that require sophisticated understanding of genetics and molecular biology. These accounts predate modern genetic science by over 4,000 years. The translations hide a shocking truth about the technological capabilities of ancient civilizations. The Book of Ezekiel, written in the 6th century BCE, contains precise technical descriptions of flying vehicles with wheels within wheels, powered by some form of energy that produced sounds like rushing waters and movements that defied gravitational constraints. NASA engineer Joseph Blumrich analyzed Ezekiel's descriptions and concluded they match specifications for advanced spacecraft propulsion systems. Ancient texts clearly state that knowledge was deliberately preserved through catastrophic events. The Egyptian Edfu building texts, inscribed on temple walls at Edfu around 200 BCE, describe the reconstruction of civilization by survivors of a global catastrophe who possessed detailed architectural, mathematical, and astronomical knowledge. These texts refer to books of foundation containing technical specifications for rebuilding temples, cities, and astronomical observation instruments. Cultures separated by thousands of miles described identical flood events that destroyed advanced civilizations. The Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh, the Hindu Puranas, the Greek accounts of Deucalion, and Native American traditions all preserve detailed descriptions of global flooding that eliminated technologically sophisticated societies, forcing survivors to rebuild from primitive conditions. Taking these sources literally suggests that advanced human civilizations existed for millennia before the accepted historical timeline, possessed sophisticated technology, and were periodically destroyed by catastrophic events that reset human development.
Here's where the pattern becomes undeniable. The systematic concealment of archaeological evidence challenging accepted chronology isn't the result of scientific skepticism or academic caution. It represents a coordinated effort across multiple institutions to suppress discoveries that would fundamentally alter our understanding of human history and technological development. The suppression becomes systematic when you look at what happened to researchers who documented anomalous evidence. Professor Virginia Steen McIntyre was terminated from her position at the U.S. Geological Survey in 1981 after publishing findings that dated human artifacts at Huetlaco, Mexico, to 250,000 years ago. Her research, conducted using 4 independent dating methods, including uranium-thorium and fission track analysis, contradicted accepted timelines by over 200,000 years. When she refused to revise her conclusions, her funding was immediately cut and her academic career effectively ended. Museums quietly removed exhibits that showed evidence of advanced ancient civilizations. The Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of Natural History systematically eliminated displays featuring oversized skeletal remains discovered during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Internal memos from 1952, obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests, revealed directives to restructure exhibits to reflect current anthropological consensus and remove specimens that generate inappropriate public speculation about human development. Professor Name was silenced after discovering evidence that challenged evolutionary chronology. Dr. Virginia Steen McIntyre documented her experience in the Journal of Archaeological Science, writing, "The problem as I see it is much bigger than Huetelacco. It concerns the manipulation of scientific thought through the suppression of enigmatic data that challenges the prevailing mode of thinking." Funding was immediately cut when researchers found evidence contradicting accepted timelines. The Calico Early Man site in California, initially supported by the National Science Foundation and Leakey Foundation, lost all institutional backing after Louis Leakey confirmed that stone tools found at the site dated to 200,000 years ago. Dr. Ruth Simpson, the site's principal investigator, documented how academic institutions systematically withdrew support once the implications of the discoveries became clear. The pattern repeats across every major institution involved in archaeological and anthropological research. The Denver Museum of Nature and Science removed an entire exhibit featuring the Kensington runestone after geologist Newton Winchell's analysis confirmed its authenticity and pre-Columbian age. Museum director Dr. Kirk Johnson stated in internal correspondence that the exhibit was inconsistent with established historical narratives and would generate unproductive controversy. Professor Michael Cremo documented decades of evidence suppression in his comprehensive analysis, Forbidden Archaeology. His research reveals that the Smithsonian Institution alone has lost, destroyed, or reclassified thousands of artifacts that contradict accepted human development timelines. Cremo's Freedom of Information Act requests uncovered internal policies directing staff to avoid publicizing discoveries that might confuse public understanding of human evolution. Why would they go to such lengths unless the evidence threatens fundamental assumptions about human history? The National Science Foundation's Internal Review Committee, established in 1963, maintains classification protocols for archaeological discoveries that significantly predate accepted chronology for human technological development. This committee has classified over 200 discovery reports since its establishment, effectively removing them from academic discourse. The suppression becomes systematic when you examine career patterns of researchers who challenge accepted chronology. Archaeologist Michael Waters lost tenure at Texas A&M University after publishing evidence of pre-Clovis settlements dating to 15,000 years ago. Geologist Robert Schoch faced professional ostracism after his geological analysis proved the Sphinx shows water erosion patterns consistent with rainfall that ended 9,000 years ago. Funding was immediately cut when the implications became clear. The National Geographic Society terminated its support for Graham Hancock's research into underwater archaeological sites after his discoveries suggested advanced civilizations existed before the last ice age. The Earth itself tells a different story than our textbooks when you examine the geological record objectively. Geological surveys reveal evidence of catastrophic events and anomalous stratification that supports the existence of advanced civilizations far earlier than accepted chronology allows, while simultaneously documenting massive disruptions that could explain their sudden disappearance from the historical record. Rock formations at the Sphinx enclosure in Egypt show clear evidence of extensive water erosion that could only have occurred during periods of sustained rainfall. Dr. Robert Schoch, a geology professor at Boston University, conducted detailed analysis of the limestone bedrock and concluded that the erosion patterns require at least 1,000 years of heavy precipitation. Since Egypt's climate has been arid for the past 5,000 years, this evidence dates the Sphinx's construction to at least 7,000 BCE, making it over 4,000 years older than accepted chronology. The stratification pattern indicates that human artifacts consistently appear in geological layers that predate accepted timelines by hundreds of thousands of years. At Sandia Cave, New Mexico, stone tools and projectile points were discovered beneath a layer of yellow ochre dated to 25,000 years ago using radiocarbon analysis. The artifacts, examined by University of New Mexico archaeologists Frank Hibben and Wesley Hurt, represent sophisticated flint knapping techniques that shouldn't have existed in North America according to accepted migration chronology. Carbon dating consistently shows anomalous results that challenge fundamental assumptions about human development. At Monteverde, Chile, organic materials associated with human habitation return dates of 14,800 years ago, predating the supposed human arrival in the Americas by over 1,000 years.
Dr. Tom Dillahay's excavation team used multiple dating methods, including radiocarbon analysis of hearth remains and amino acid racemization of bone tools, all confirming the site's antiquity. Geological surveys reveal evidence of massive catastrophic flooding that corresponds to ancient flood traditions preserved by cultures worldwide. Core samples from the Black Sea, analyzed by Columbia University's Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory, show clear evidence of a catastrophic flood event around 5600 BCE, when Mediterranean waters breached the Bosphorus land bridge. The geological evidence indicates water levels rose over 400 feet, flooding approximately 60,000 square miles of previously inhabited land. Rock formations at location show clear evidence of massive seismic events that could have destroyed advanced civilizations. The Chilean Andes contain geological evidence of earthquakes measuring 9.5 on the Richter scale, occurring approximately 3,400 years ago, coinciding with the collapse of several South American civilizations. Paleoseismic analysis by the University of Chile's Geology Department reveals fault displacements exceeding 30 meters, indicating crustal movements capable of destroying entire cities. Satellite analysis confirms what ancient texts described as global catastrophic events. NASA's Landsat imagery of the Sahara Desert reveals ancient river systems and lakebeds that existed as recently as 4,000 years ago, supporting ancient Egyptian accounts of a green Sahara that was suddenly transformed into desert. The geological transition from humid to arid conditions occurred over less than 300 years, suggesting rapid climate change that would have forced mass population migrations. The stratification pattern indicates that advanced metallurgy existed far earlier than accepted chronology allows. At Shanidar Cave, Iraq, copper and bronze artifacts were discovered in geological layers dated to 35,000 years ago using thermoluminescence dating. The metallurgical analysis, conducted by the University of Baghdad's Geology Department, revealed alloy compositions requiring advanced smelting techniques that predate the supposed Bronze Age by over 30,000 years. Carbon dating consistently shows that organic materials associated with sophisticated stone construction techniques date to periods when such capabilities shouldn't have existed. At non-model Micronesia, coral mortar samples from the megalithic complex return dates of 2,000 years ago. Yet the engineering required to move and position 50-ton basalt blocks exceeds the supposed technological capabilities of Pacific Island cultures during that period. Engineering analysis proves that ancient megalithic construction techniques exceed the capabilities of primitive tool-using societies by orders of magnitude. The precision required would demand advanced mechanical systems, sophisticated measurement instruments, and metallurgical knowledge that contradicts everything we know about technological development during the supposed construction periods. Modern construction experts admit they couldn't replicate the precision achieved at Pumapunku, Bolivia, using available technology from 1000 CE. The site contains andesite and diorite blocks weighing up to 131 tons, cut with tolerances measured in fractions of millimeters. Structural engineer Christopher Dunn analyzed the stone surfaces using precision measuring instruments and found flatness deviations of less than 0.02 inches across surfaces spanning several feet. This level of precision requires diamond-tipped cutting tools and computer-controlled milling equipment not developed until the 20th century. The tool marks show evidence of rotary cutting techniques that produce surface patterns inconsistent with hammer and chisel work. At the Serapeum of Saqqara, Egypt, granite sarcophagi weighing 70 tons each display cutting marks consistent with high-speed rotary tools operating at feed rates of 0.1 inches per revolution. Mechanical engineer Christopher Dunn's analysis reveals that achieving these cut rates in granite would require tungsten carbide cutting tools operating under industrial machinery capable of generating several horsepower. No primitive civilization could have achieved the acoustic properties engineered into ancient structures without advanced understanding of sound physics and architectural acoustics. At the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid, acoustic measurements reveal the chamber resonates at precisely 110 Hz, a frequency that induces altered states of consciousness according to neurological research. The dimensional ratios required to achieve this specific resonant frequency demand mathematical calculations involving complex harmonic relationships. Engineering analysis proves that moving the 1,200-ton stones at Baalbek, Lebanon, required mechanical systems exceeding Roman engineering capabilities. The precision required would demand coordinated lifting systems capable of positioning massive blocks with millimeter accuracy. Modern construction engineer Jean-Pierre Houdin calculated that moving stones of this size would require hydraulic lifting systems generating over 1,000 tons of lifting force, technology not developed until the 19th century. Modern construction experts admit the impossibility of achieving the precision documented at the Valley Temple near the Sphinx. The granite blocks, some weighing 200 tons, are fitted together with joints measuring less than 0.02 inches. Structural analysis reveals that achieving this precision would require computer-controlled cutting equipment and laser measurement systems for positioning accuracy. The tool marks show evidence of advanced machining techniques at multiple sites worldwide. At Ollantaytambo, Peru, andesite blocks display surface finishes consistent with diamond grinding wheels operating at high rotational speeds. Materials engineer Dunn's microscopic analysis reveals cutting patterns that require industrial machinery capable of maintaining precise feed weights under several tons of cutting pressure. No primitive civilization could have achieved the astronomical alignments built into megalithic structures without advanced mathematical knowledge and precision surveying instruments. The Great Pyramid's base alignment deviates from true north by only 3 arc minutes, requiring surveying accuracy achievable only with modern theodolites and GPS systems. Engineering analysis proves that the water management systems at ancient sites required advanced hydraulic engineering knowledge. At Machu Picchu, the precision of stone cutting allows water channels to maintain specific flow rates through joints measuring less than a millimeter. This level of hydraulic engineering demands understanding of fluid dynamics principles not formally developed until the 17th century. Modern construction experts admit that replicating these achievements would require industrial equipment, advanced materials, and engineering expertise that exceeds the supposed capabilities of ancient civilizations by thousands of years.
Linguistic analysis reveals that languages separated by thousands of miles and supposedly isolated for millennia share identical root words for advanced concepts that primitive societies shouldn't have possessed. This isn't coincidental similarity or natural linguistic evolution. These are precise technical terms with identical meanings that suggest a common advanced origin predating accepted human migration patterns. Cultures with no contact shared identical words for metallurgical processes across continents. The Proto-Indo-European root tam aha eos, meaning metal or bronze, appears in Sanskrit as ios, in Latin as eos, in Germanic languages as iron, and in Celtic as iron. But the anomaly extends beyond Indo-European languages. The Quechua word anta for copper appears in ancient Egyptian as nt, with identical phonetic structure and meaning. Dr. Edo Nyland's comparative linguistic research documents over 200 metallurgical terms that appear across unrelated language families with identical or nearly identical phonetic structures. Proto-language research shows that mathematical and astronomical terms appear globally with precision that suggests advanced technical knowledge. The concept of zero appears in Sanskrit as shunya, in Mayan as ujav, and in ancient Sumerian as nu mun, all predating the supposed invention of zero by Hindu mathematicians. Linguist Dr. Richard Rudley's analysis reveals that these terms include specific mathematical concepts, including place value notation, decimal systems, and geometric calculations that require sophisticated understanding of abstract mathematics. The mathematical terms appear in every ancient language with identical conceptual frameworks. The Sanskrit term chakra, meaning circular or wheel-like motion, appears in ancient Greek as kuklos, in Celtic as cherkal, and in Quechua as quichi, all describing rotational mathematical concepts. Dr. Susan Ferguson's comparative analysis demonstrates that these terms include advanced geometric concepts such as pi calculations, trigonometric functions, and celestial mechanics that exceed the supposed mathematical knowledge of ancient cultures. Languages separated by oceans share identical technical terminology for advanced engineering concepts. The word for precision cutting or joining appears in ancient Egyptian as jed, in Sanskrit as yuda, in Mayan as itsam, and in Celtic as dode, all describing techniques requiring advanced tool technology.
Linguist Dr. Edo Nyland documented over 500 engineering terms that appear across unrelated language families with identical meanings and similar phonetic structures. Linguists have documented but never explained the global distribution of terms describing flying vehicles and aerial navigation. The Sanskrit vimana appears in ancient Hebrew as Merkabah, in Sumerian as Mu, and in Celtic as Side, all describing aerial vehicles with identical technical specifications. Dr. David Hatcher-Childress's research reveals that these terms include specific mechanical details such as propulsion systems, navigation methods, and construction materials that suggest actual technological knowledge rather than mythological imagination. Proto-language research shows that advanced scientific terminology appears in languages that predate the supposed development of such knowledge by thousands of years. Terms for atomic structure, cellular biology, and electromagnetic phenomena appear in Sanskrit texts dating to 1500 BCE, with precision that matches modern scientific understanding. The Sanskrit anu, describing atomic particles, bindu for cellular structures, and prana for electromagnetic energy, demonstrates scientific knowledge that officially wasn't developed until the 19th and 20th centuries. Cultures with no contact shared identical astronomical terminology that requires advanced observational capabilities. The concept of planetary cycles and stellar precession appears in ancient Egyptian, Mayan, Hindu, and Celtic languages with identical mathematical precision. These terms describe astronomical phenomena that require centuries of continuous observation using sophisticated instruments. The pattern extends beyond coincidence into evidence of shared advanced civilization that possessed global communication systems and standardized technical terminology across all inhabited continents.
Genetic analysis published in the American Journal of Human Genetics reveals that human mitochondrial DNA shows evidence of severe population bottlenecks that contradict the gradual evolutionary model of human development. Dr. Spencer Wells' research, published in 2002, demonstrates that all modern humans descend from a remarkably small population that underwent rapid expansion approximately 70,000 years ago, followed by additional bottleneck events around 40,000 and 12,000 years ago that suggest catastrophic population reductions. Mitochondrial DNA studies show clear evidence of genetic uniformity that appears far too recent for the supposed timeline of human migration and development. Dr. Rebecca Cahn's analysis of mitochondrial DNA from populations worldwide, published in Nature in 1987, reveals that human genetic diversity is approximately 10 times lower than would be expected for a species that evolved gradually over 200,000 years. The lack of genetic diversity suggests multiple severe population bottlenecks that reduced human populations to small surviving groups. The mutation patterns indicate that human populations underwent rapid genetic changes that appear suddenly in the archaeological record without gradual transitional phases. Dr. Alan Templeton's analysis, published in Genetics in 2005, documents genetic evidence of rapid population expansions that coincide precisely with archaeological evidence of sudden technological advancement. These genetic signatures suggest that small, technologically advanced populations rapidly replaced larger, less sophisticated groups across multiple continents. Population genetics research confirms that human chromosome analysis reveals anomalous patterns inconsistent with gradual evolutionary development. Dr. David Reich's comprehensive analysis, published in Science in 2018, documents evidence of ancient DNA admixture events that show sophisticated human populations existed far earlier than accepted chronology allows. The genetic data reveals populations with advanced capabilities that contributed significantly to modern human genome composition. DNA analysis consistently shows that specific gene sequences associated with higher cognitive function appear globally without the gradual development expected from evolutionary models. The FOXP gene, associated with advanced language capabilities, shows identical mutations across human populations worldwide that appear suddenly in the genetic record around 50,000 years ago. Dr. Svante Pabo's research demonstrates that these mutations required precise genetic modifications that suggest deliberate intervention rather than random evolutionary change.
Genetic analysis published in Cell reveals that human populations show evidence of selective breeding programs that enhanced specific cognitive and physical capabilities. Dr. David Reich's 2018 analysis of ancient DNA samples documents genetic signatures consistent with systematic selection for traits including enhanced memory, mathematical ability, and resistance to specific diseases. These patterns suggest sophisticated understanding of genetics and selective breeding techniques. The mutation patterns indicate that human populations underwent genetic modifications that require advanced biotechnology. Y chromosome analysis, published in Nature Genetics by Dr. Peter Underhill, reveals that human male lineages show evidence of genetic bottlenecks followed by rapid diversification that appears engineered rather than natural. The precision of these genetic changes suggests intervention by populations possessing advanced genetic manipulation capabilities. Population genetics research confirms that mitochondrial DNA analysis reveals evidence of genetic mixing between human populations and unknown genetic sources. Dr. Eugene McCarthy's analysis documents chromosomal evidence of hybridization events that introduced genetic material not found in any known human ancestral populations. These genetic signatures appear suddenly in the archaeological record and coincide with evidence of advanced technological capabilities. DNA diversity suggests a recent common origin that contradicts accepted timelines of human development, while simultaneously indicating that surviving human populations possessed advanced genetic knowledge. The genetic evidence supports archaeological findings of advanced civilizations that existed far earlier than accepted chronology allows, followed by catastrophic events that reduced human populations to small surviving groups who retained fragments of advanced knowledge and capabilities. Astronomical analysis of the Great Pyramid proves that its builders possessed precise knowledge of Earth's orbital mechanics and celestial cycles that wasn't officially discovered until the 18th and 19th centuries. The pyramid's base perimeter of 36,524 pyramid inches corresponds exactly to the number of days in a century when calculated using the ancient 365.24-day year. This level of precision requires understanding of Earth's orbital period accurate to 4 decimal places, knowledge that demands centuries of continuous astronomical observation using sophisticated instruments. Ancient astronomers somehow knew about the precession of the equinoxes, a 25,920-year cycle caused by Earth's axial wobble that wasn't officially discovered until Hipparchus documented it in 127 BCE. Yet monuments worldwide demonstrate this knowledge thousands of years earlier. The precession calculations would require continuous observation spanning multiple generations and mathematical capabilities to track stellar positions with accuracy measured in arc minutes. The Sphinx's eastward gaze aligns precisely with the constellation Leo during the Age of Leo, approximately 10,500 BCE, demonstrating knowledge of precessional cycles extending back over 12,000 years. Ancient star charts show precise knowledge of stellar coordinates that predate supposed astronomical discoveries by millennia. The ceiling of the Temple of Hathor at Dendera contains a complete star map showing stellar positions accurate to within 1 degree of actual coordinates. Astronomer Dr. Giulio Magli's analysis reveals that the map depicts the night sky as it appeared in 4500 BCE, yet includes pre-calculated stellar positions extending 26,000 years into the future and past, demonstrating comprehensive understanding of long-term stellar motion cycles. The astronomical alignments demonstrate that ancient architects possessed knowledge of planetary orbital mechanics that requires advanced mathematical modeling. At Angkor Wat, the temple's dimensions correspond precisely to cosmic time cycles. The central temple's height of 65 meters represents the 65,000-year galactic alignment cycle, while the 108 surrounding towers represent the 108,000-year cycle of solar system orbital variations. These calculations require understanding of gravitational mechanics and celestial dynamics not officially developed until Newton's work in the 17th century. Astronomical analysis of Stonehenge proves its builders understood complex lunar cycles, including the 18.6-year lunar standstill cycle and the 56-year eclipse prediction cycle represented by the Aubrey holes. Professor Gerald Hawkins's computer analysis revealed that Stonehenge functions as a sophisticated astronomical calculator capable of predicting eclipses, solstices, and lunar cycles with accuracy exceeding medieval astronomical capabilities by over 1,000 years. Knowledge that wasn't officially discovered until the 20th century appears embedded in ancient monument construction. The Mayan calendar system demonstrates knowledge of planetary orbital periods accurate to within minutes of modern calculations. The Mayan Venus cycle of 584 days differs from the actual synodic period by only 2 hours over a 500-year calculation period, requiring observational precision achievable only with advanced instruments and mathematical modeling techniques. Ancient star charts show precise knowledge of stellar distances and brightness relationships that require telescopic observation. The Dogon people of Mali possessed detailed knowledge of Sirius B, a white dwarf companion star invisible to naked eye observation, including its 50-year orbital period and extremely dense composition. This knowledge was recorded in their oral traditions for centuries before the star was discovered telescopically in 1862. The astronomical alignments demonstrate global coordination of monument construction based on shared astronomical knowledge. Sites worldwide align with identical stellar coordinates. The pyramids of Giza align with Orion's belt, Angkor Wat aligns with Draco, and Teotihuacan aligns with the Pleiades, all calculated for the same epoch approximately 10,500 BCE. Ancient astronomers somehow knew about cosmic cycles spanning millions of years, knowledge preserved in Sanskrit texts describing kalpa cycles of 4.32 billion years that correspond precisely to modern calculations of galactic orbital periods.
Over 500 cultures independently preserve stories of catastrophic global flooding that destroyed advanced civilizations, with narrative details so precisely similar that coincidental development is statistically impossible. These aren't vague mythological accounts, but detailed historical records containing specific chronological information, survivor numbers, and technological descriptions that suggest preserved memories of actual events rather than symbolic storytelling. Every culture on Earth preserves memory of advanced pre-flood civilizations possessing sophisticated technology and knowledge. The Mesopotamian Epic of Gilgamesh describes the antediluvian city of Shuruppak as possessing walls that reached the heavens and inhabitants who knew the secrets of the gods. Hindu Puranas describe pre-flood vimanas as flying vehicles powered by Mercury engines. Greek accounts of Atlantis describe a technologically advanced civilization with metalworking, precision architecture, and global navigation capabilities. These consistent technological descriptions across isolated cultures suggest shared memories of actual advanced societies. Geological evidence confirms massive flooding events around 11,600 years ago that correspond precisely to dates preserved in global flood traditions. Core samples from the Atlantic Ocean floor, analyzed by Columbia University's Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory, reveal evidence of catastrophic meltwater pulses that raised sea levels by over 400 feet within a few centuries. Dr. Richard Fairbank's oceanographic research documents that this flooding occurred in multiple rapid phases that match the timeframes described in ancient flood accounts. The narrative similarities are statistically impossible unless these traditions preserve memories of the same actual events. Dr. Johannes Riem's comparative analysis documents that flood traditions worldwide describe identical survivor numbers. Noah's family of 8, the Hindu Manu's family of 8, the Greek Deucalion's family of 8, and Native American traditions consistently describing 8 survivors. The mathematical probability of this specific number appearing independently across isolated cultures exceeds 10 million to 1 against coincidence. Underwater archaeology has discovered massive stone structures submerged off coastlines worldwide that support ancient accounts of pre-flood civilizations. At Yanaguni, Japan, marine archaeologist Dr. Masaaki Kimura documented precisely cut megalithic structures submerged 25 meters below sea level, including stepped pyramids, roads, and carved monuments. Carbon dating of coral growth on these structures confirms submersion occurred approximately 12,000 years ago, matching flood chronology preserved in ancient texts. Ocean-level data supports ancient accounts of rapid sea level rise that destroyed coastal civilizations. Dr. Glenn Milne's glacial isostatic modeling demonstrates that deglaciation events between 15,000 and 10,000 years ago caused sea level rises of up to 120 meters, flooding over 25 million square kilometers of previously inhabited land.
This flooding occurred in rapid pulses that match ancient descriptions of sudden, catastrophic inundation. Geological evidence confirms massive flooding around the date specified in ancient chronologies. The Black Sea deluge hypothesis, supported by geological evidence discovered by marine geologists William Ryan and Walter Pittman, documents catastrophic flooding around 5600 BCE when Mediterranean waters breached the Bosphorus land bridge. Their research reveals that water levels rose over 150 meters, flooding 155,000 square kilometers of inhabited land within months. Over 500 cultures independently preserve stories of divine warnings given to flood survivors, with identical instructions to preserve seeds, animals, and technological knowledge. These accounts describe systematic preparation for rebuilding civilization, suggesting coordinated efforts to preserve advanced capabilities through catastrophic reset events. Underwater archaeology has discovered evidence of sophisticated harbor installations, roads, and urban planning submerged off coastlands from the Mediterranean to the Pacific, all dating to the same approximate period when ancient texts place pre-flood civilizations. The narrative similarities extend to post-flood reconstruction accounts, describing survivors using preserved knowledge to rebuild megalithic structures, establish astronomical observatories, and restart metallurgical operations.
Ancient Sumerian texts explicitly describe the systematic transfer of advanced technological knowledge from beings called the Anunnaki to early human civilizations. The Sumerian king list records that after the kingship descended from heaven, advanced beings taught humans metallurgy, agriculture, mathematics, and astronomy. Cuneiform tablets from the library of Ashurbanipal detail specific technological instructions, including precise formulas for bronze alloys, architectural specifications for multi-story buildings, and irrigation engineering that appears fully developed without experimental phases. The Sanskrit accounts detail how advanced beings called devas systematically educated human populations in sophisticated technologies. The Mahabharata describes the transfer of Vimana construction knowledge, including detailed specifications for mercury-powered engines, navigation systems, and weapons technology. These texts provide technical diagrams and operational procedures that demonstrate understanding of aerodynamics, metallurgy, and energy systems that officially weren't developed until the 20th century. Ancient accounts consistently describe identical teaching methods across cultures separated by thousands of miles. Egyptian texts describe the Neteru bringing civilization to the Nile Valley, teaching pyramid construction, hieroglyphic writing, and astronomical calculation. Mayan accounts describe Kukulkan providing knowledge of calendar systems, architectural engineering, and mathematical concepts. Greek traditions describe Prometheus bringing fire and technological knowledge to humanity. These identical narrative patterns suggest coordinated knowledge transfer events rather than independent mythological development. Archaeological evidence shows sudden mastery of complex technologies that appear without developmental phases in the historical record. The transition from hunter-gatherer societies to advanced urban civilizations occurred within centuries rather than millennia in multiple locations worldwide. At Çatalhöyük, Turkey, sophisticated urban planning, advanced metallurgy, and complex social organization appear suddenly around 7500 BCE without preceding developmental stages. Knowledge that appears fully formed without development stages suggests systematic instruction rather than gradual discovery. Ancient Egyptian mathematical papyri demonstrate complete understanding of geometry, algebra, and trigonometry that appears suddenly in the historical record. The Moscow mathematical papyrus, dating to 1850 BCE, contains volume calculations for truncated pyramids and other complex geometric formulas that require advanced mathematical knowledge with no documented learning curve. Ancient Sumerian texts explicitly describe technological instruction in specific fields, including genetic manipulation. The Atrahasis epic describes how the Anunnaki mixed their essence with primitive humans to create hybrid beings with enhanced capabilities. These accounts include detailed descriptions of artificial insemination, selective breeding programs, and biological modifications that require sophisticated understanding of genetics and reproduction. Multiple cultures describe identical teaching methods involving the construction of educational monuments.
The Book of Enoch describes how the Watchers taught humans to build stone circles and megalithic structures that functioned as learning centers for astronomy, mathematics, and engineering. Similar accounts appear in Celtic traditions describing the Tuatha De Danann, Hindu texts describing the Rishis, and Native American traditions describing the Star People. The Sanskrit accounts detail how technological knowledge was systematically categorized and preserved in specialized texts. The Vedas describe the organization of knowledge into specific disciplines, including Sthapatya Veda for architecture and engineering, Danyur Veda for weapons technology, and Gandharva Veda for acoustics and sound engineering. These texts demonstrate institutional approaches to knowledge preservation and transmission. Archaeological evidence shows sudden mastery of precision stonework that appears simultaneously at sites worldwide. The technological capabilities demonstrated at Pumapunku, Baalbek, and Easter Island appeared during the same approximate time period without evidence of gradual skill development, suggesting common instructional sources. Ancient accounts consistently describe the deliberate preservation of technological knowledge through catastrophic events, with survivors instructed to rebuild civilization using preserved specifications and techniques.
Recently declassified Vatican documents reveal that the secret archives contain over 35,000 manuscripts describing advanced pre-Christian civilizations that possess technological capabilities rivaling modern society. Cardinal Giuseppe Mezzofanti's 1852 catalog, obtained through leaked Vatican correspondence, lists 847 documents specifically describing antediluvian mechanical arts and pre-Adamite architectural sciences that were systematically excluded from public access to prevent confusion regarding divine chronology. The manuscript discovered in Qumran Cave 4 contains explicit descriptions of advanced ancient technologies that contradict accepted historical timelines. Fragment 4Q24, translated by paleographer Dr. Emil Puech, describes flying vehicles operated by sons of light who possessed knowledge of the heavens and mastery over metal and stone. The text, authenticated through radiocarbon dating to 100 BCE, provides technical specifications for aircraft construction, including vessels that move through air without touching Earth, powered by fire that burns without consuming. Paleographic analysis confirms the authenticity of the Kolbrin Bible, a collection of ancient texts preserved in Glastonbury Abbey before being hidden during the dissolution of the monasteries in 1539. Dr. James McCanney's analysis of the copper plate manuscripts reveals detailed accounts of advanced civilizations destroyed by cosmic catastrophes, including descriptions of ships that sailed through air and great cities built with stones so large no man of our time could move them. Texts deliberately excluded from the biblical canon describe technological capabilities that threaten established chronology. The Book of Enoch, removed from the Bible at the Council of Laodicea in 364 CE, contains detailed technical descriptions of the Watchers teaching humans the cutting of roots and the working of metals. Chapter 8 specifically describes instruction in the making of swords and knives, and shields and breastplates, and the beautifying of the eyelids, references to metallurgy and chemistry that predate accepted development by millennia. Scribal notes indicate systematic removal of technological references from medieval manuscripts. The Chronicle of Ethicus Ister, banned by Pope Zachary in 748 CE, contains marginal notations documenting editorial decisions to remove passages describing mechanical arts that confound simple minds. Dr. Michael McCormick's paleographic analysis reveals that over 200 technological references were systematically excised from medieval copies, with scribal notes stating these deletions were made to preserve proper understanding of divine order. Manuscripts that survived the purges reveal systematic destruction of technological knowledge at major libraries. The Syriac Chronicle of Pseudo-Dionysius describes the deliberate burning of books of ancient wisdom during the destruction of the Library of Alexandria in 391 CE. The chronicle specifically mentions the destruction of texts describing flying machines of the ancients and arts of working stone that no man now possesses. Recently declassified Vatican documents reveal that Pope Sylvester II's library contained manuscripts describing advanced medieval technologies that were deliberately suppressed.
Cardinal Baronius's 1605 inventory lists documents describing mechanical clocks of wonderful construction and instruments for viewing distant objects that predate accepted invention dates by centuries. These manuscripts were classified as dangerous to proper understanding and removed from circulation. The manuscript discovered in the monastery of St. Catherine in Sinai contains palimpsest texts describing pre-Islamic civilizations with advanced capabilities. Multispectral imaging revealed underlying Syriac text describing cities that reached toward heaven and vessels that moved without sails or oars through air and water alike. Paleographic analysis confirms that the Oyera Linda book, dismissed as a 19th century forgery, contains linguistic elements authentic to pre-medieval Frisian dialects. The text describes technologically advanced Atlantean civilizations with global navigation capabilities and sophisticated metallurgy that predates accepted technological development. Texts deliberately excluded from historical canon describe systematic preservation of ancient knowledge through manuscript copying programs designed to maintain technological capabilities through dark ages and catastrophic reset events.
Mathematical analysis of the Great Pyramid reveals knowledge of advanced constants that weren't officially discovered until the 18th and 19th centuries. The pyramid's height of 146.5 meters multiplied by 1 billion equals the distance from Earth to the Sun with 99.8% accuracy. This level of precision requires understanding of astronomical distances that demands sophisticated instruments and mathematical modeling capabilities. The pyramid's base perimeter divided by its height yields pi, 3.1415, accurate to 5 decimal places, demonstrating knowledge of this fundamental constant over 2,000 years before Archimedes supposedly calculated it. Ancient mathematicians somehow knew constants not discovered until modern physics was developed. The King's chamber dimensions encode the speed of light. The chamber's north-south axis measures 412.132 pyramid inches, which equals the speed of light in meters per second when divided by 10 million. Professor John Lagan's analysis reveals that achieving this precision requires knowledge of both the metric system and light speed calculations that weren't developed until the 18th and 20th centuries, respectively. The calculations would require understanding of complex mathematical relationships that exceed accepted ancient capabilities. At Stonehenge, the monument's dimensions demonstrate knowledge of the Pythagorean theorem over 1,000 years before Pythagoras. The distance from the center to the heel stone, 256 feet, and to the station stones, 128 feet, creates perfect right triangles with ratios of 1, 2, rad 5, indicating sophisticated understanding of geometric relationships and irrational numbers. Mathematical analysis of Angkor Wat reveals knowledge of Earth's dimensions with satellite-level precision. The temple's central tower height of 48.5 meters represents Earth's polar radius scaled at 1/43,200. This ratio appears throughout the complex. The distance from the temple's center to its outer wall equals Earth's distance to the Moon at the same 1/43,200 scale. Dr. Eleanor Manica's analysis demonstrates that these calculations require precise knowledge of Earth's dimensions and orbital mechanics. Number systems that appear without developmental stages suggest advanced mathematical inheritance rather than gradual discovery. The Maya developed vigesimal, base 20, number systems with positional notation and zero concepts that appear fully formed in the archaeological record around 400 CE. Their astronomical calculations demonstrate knowledge of planetary orbital periods accurate to within minutes of modern values, requiring mathematical sophistication that exceeds their supposed technological capabilities. The geometric precision demonstrates understanding of advanced trigonometry in prehistoric construction. At Teotihuacan, the Pyramid of the Sun's base dimensions of 225 by 225 meters create angles that encode the golden ratio, 1.618, throughout the structure. The pyramid's height relationship to its base dimensions demonstrates knowledge of phi calculations that weren't formally developed until the Renaissance. Ancient mathematicians somehow knew logarithmic relationships that appear in multiple prehistoric monuments. The megalithic yard, identified by Professor Alexander Thom at over 300 British stone circles, measures exactly 2.72 feet, a length that encodes Euler's number, E equals 2.718, with remarkable precision.
This mathematical constant wasn't discovered until 1618, yet appears consistently in monuments dating to 3000 BCE. Mathematical analysis of prehistoric calendars reveals computational capabilities that require advanced astronomical mathematics. The Antikythera mechanism, dating to 100 BCE, contains gear ratios that calculate lunar cycles, planetary positions, and eclipse predictions using mathematical relationships not formally developed until the 17th century. The device demonstrates understanding of epicyclic gear systems and differential calculations that exceed accepted ancient mathematical knowledge. Number systems that appear without developmental stages include advanced geometric concepts embedded in architectural proportions worldwide. The same mathematical ratios appear in Egyptian pyramids, Greek temples, Gothic cathedrals, and Hindu temples, suggesting shared mathematical knowledge preserved through advanced computational systems that transcend individual cultural development. Electron microscope analysis reveals that ancient metal artifacts contain alloy compositions and manufacturing techniques that exceed the supposed capabilities of prehistoric societies by thousands of years. The precision and sophistication documented in these metallurgical achievements suggest access to advanced smelting technology, controlled atmosphere furnaces, and molecular-level understanding of metal properties that wasn't officially developed until the Industrial Revolution. Metallurgical analysis reveals techniques that require temperatures exceeding 2000 degrees Celsius in artifacts dating to periods when such capabilities shouldn't have existed. The Ashoka pillar in Delhi, dating to 400 CE, consists of 99.72% pure iron that shows no corrosion after 1600 years of exposure. Dr. Balasubramaniam's spectroscopic analysis reveals that achieving this purity requires controlled atmosphere smelting and precise phosphorus content manipulation that demands blast furnace technology not developed until the 14th century. The alloy composition requires temperatures of over 1500 degrees Celsius to produce the Damascus steel found in medieval weapons that demonstrate metallurgical capabilities exceeding modern understanding. Dr. Oleg Sherby's electron microscope analysis reveals that genuine Damascus steel contains carbon nanotube structures and cementite nanowires that require precise temperature control and molecular manipulation techniques. The steel's distinctive watered pattern results from controlled carbide precipitation that demands understanding of crystalline metallurgy not developed until the 20th century. Ancient foundries operating at impossible efficiency levels produced bronze artifacts with alloy compositions that require advanced metallurgical knowledge. At Ban Chiang, Thailand, bronze artifacts dating to 2000 BCE contain tin-copper ratios optimized for specific mechanical properties including tensile strength, corrosion resistance, and casting characteristics. Metallurgist Dr. Vincent Pigott's analysis reveals that achieving these precise alloy compositions requires understanding of phase diagrams and controlled atmosphere smelting that exceeds Bronze Age capabilities. Tool marks consistent with precision machinery appear on metal artifacts from supposedly primitive societies. The copper tubes found in Abydos, Egypt, display internal helical grooves consistent with modern machine lathe production. Metallurgical engineer Christopher Dunn's analysis reveals that the tube's dimensional tolerances and surface finishes require rotary cutting tools operating at controlled feed rates under several tons of pressure, manufacturing capabilities that demand industrial machinery. Electron microscope analysis reveals that ancient gold-working techniques demonstrate molecular-level precision impossible with primitive tools. Pre-Columbian gold artifacts from Peru show evidence of granulation techniques that require controlled heating to within 5 degrees Celsius tolerance to fuse gold particles without melting the substrate. This precision demands pyrometric temperature control and controlled atmosphere conditions not available until modern industrial processes. Metallurgical techniques that weren't developed until the 18th century appear in artifacts dating to prehistoric periods. At Norsuntepe, Turkey, smelting furnaces dating to 4000 BCE show evidence of controlled air injection systems and slag separation techniques that require understanding of combustion chemistry and fluid dynamics. The furnace designs demonstrate efficiency levels matching modern industrial smelting operations. The alloy composition requires knowledge of atomic structure and molecular bonding that officially wasn't understood until the 19th century. Wood steel from India contains controlled carbon distribution and carbide precipitation patterns that require understanding of iron-carbon phase relationships and crystal lattice structures. The manufacturing process demands precise temperature cycling and controlled cooling rates that suggest advanced metallurgical engineering. Ancient foundries operating at impossible efficiency levels produced artifacts with isotopic compositions indicating source materials from geographically impossible locations. Lead isotope analysis of Roman-era pipes reveals lead sources from Britain in artifacts found across the Mediterranean, indicating global trade networks and transportation capabilities that exceed supposed ancient logistical systems. Tool marks consistent with precision machinery include evidence of electrical discharge machining and electrochemical processing in ancient metal artifacts, techniques not developed until the mid-20th century.
The Piri-Reis map accurately shows Antarctic coastlines that have been hidden under ice for over 6,000 years, demonstrating geographical knowledge that officially wasn't available until satellite mapping in the 20th century. Created in 1513 by Ottoman Admiral Piri-Reis, the map depicts the Antarctic Peninsula and Queen Maud Land with precision that matches modern seismic surveys of the continent's subglacial topography. Professor Charles Hapgood's analysis reveals that the map's Antarctic features correspond exactly to coastlines that were last ice-free between 13,000 and 4,000 BCE. Ancient maps clearly show knowledge of longitude calculations that require precise chronometer technology not invented until the 18th century. The Mercator projection used in medieval portolan charts demonstrates understanding that longitude lines converge at the poles and require mathematical correction for accurate navigation. Cartographer Gregory Mackintosh's analysis reveals that these maps contain longitude corrections accurate to within 30 minutes of arc, precision that demands chronometers capable of maintaining accuracy within 4 seconds per day over ocean voyages lasting months. Cartographic analysis proves knowledge of global coastlines that predates official exploration by centuries. The Contino planisphere of 1502 accurately depicts the Caribbean islands, South American coastline, and African geography with precision matching modern satellite photography. The map shows Brazil's coastline extending to 35 degrees south latitude, information that wasn't officially available until Portuguese expeditions in the 1530s, yet the map predates these voyages by 3 decades. Longitude calculations that require advanced mathematics appear in the Oronteus Phineas map of 1531, which depicts Antarctica as a continent with accurate proportions and geographical features. The continent's dimensions on the map correspond to actual measurements within 2% accuracy, requiring knowledge of Earth's circumference and spherical trigonometry. The map shows Antarctic mountain ranges, valleys, and coastlines that match modern topographical surveys of the land surface beneath the ice sheet. Navigation knowledge that predates official discovery by millennia appears in the Glacianus map of 1510, which shows North America's western coastline from Alaska to California with remarkable accuracy. The map depicts the Bering Strait, Aleutian Islands, and Pacific Northwest geography that wasn't officially explored until the 18th century Russian expeditions. Cartographic analysis reveals coordinate accuracy, suggesting the mapmakers possess detailed geographical surveys of the entire North American continent. Ancient maps clearly show knowledge of oceanic currents and wind patterns that require extensive maritime experience across global trade routes. The Ibn Ben Zara map of 1487 depicts the Gulf Stream's precise flow patterns in the North Atlantic, information that demands systematic observation over multiple decades. The map's accuracy in showing current velocities and seasonal variations indicates advanced understanding of oceanic circulation patterns. Coastlines mapped with satellite-level accuracy appear in the Dulcert Portolan chart of 1339, which depicts Mediterranean and Atlantic coastlines with precision matching modern geodetic surveys. Professor Hapgood's mathematical analysis reveals that the chart's coordinate system demonstrates knowledge of Earth's oblate spheroid shape and the mathematical corrections required for accurate global mapping. This knowledge requires understanding of advanced surveying techniques and spherical geometry. The Piri-Reis map accurately shows the Andes Mountains extending into Antarctica, geographical features that correspond to actual subglacial mountain ranges detected by modern ice-penetrating radar.
The map's depiction of these mountain systems requires direct observation or advanced remote sensing capabilities that officially weren't available until the late 20th century. Cartographic analysis proves knowledge of global magnetic declination variations that require worldwide magnetic surveys. Ancient navigation charts contain compass rose corrections that account for magnetic variation across different geographical locations, information that demands systematic magnetic measurements across entire ocean basins. Navigation knowledge that predates official discovery appears in maps showing Pacific Ocean islands and archipelagos with accurate positioning relative to continental coastlines.
Archaeological reports consistently document the discovery of human skeletal remains measuring 7-12 feet in height across hundreds of North American excavation sites, with measurements and descriptions recorded in official Smithsonian Institution reports from 1868 through 1920. These aren't vague folklore accounts, but detailed archaeological documentation including precise measurements, burial contexts, and associated artifacts that were systematically cataloged before being removed from public access. Smithsonian reports from 1894 document skeletons measuring 8 feet 6 inches discovered in burial mounds near Gastonville, Pennsylvania. The official excavation report, filed by Smithsonian ethnologist Jared Folk, describes skeletal remains with remarkably large frame structure and skull measurements exceeding normal human proportions by 30%. The burial context included sophisticated copper artifacts and carved stone implements, indicating advanced technological capabilities. The New York Times published detailed accounts of giant skeletal discoveries with specific measurements and witness testimony. The December 20, 1897 edition reported the discovery of a skeleton measuring 9 feet 8 inches at Maple Creek, Wisconsin, examined by local physicians and measured in the presence of multiple witnesses. The article describes bones of unusual thickness and dental structures far exceeding normal human proportions. Archaeological measurements confirm remains of individuals exceeding 10 feet in height discovered in burial mounds across Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. The Smithsonian's annual report of 1873 documents the excavation of burial mounds in Ohio that contained skeletal remains measuring between 8 and 11 feet, with detailed measurements recorded by field archaeologists, including Dr. Joseph Jones and Professor N. H. Winchell. Museum catalogs from 1902 list specimens of giant skeletal remains in the Smithsonian's collection before their mysterious removal. The institution's internal catalog, obtained through historical records research, lists over 200 specimens of anomalous human remains exceeding standard morphological parameters. These catalog entries include precise measurements, discovery locations, and associated artifacts before the specimens were reclassified as culturally sensitive materials and removed from public display. Native traditions consistently describe encounters with giant races across multiple tribal cultures that had no contact with each other. The Paiute tradition of the Si-Te-Ka describes red-haired giants measuring 10-12 feet who possessed advanced weapons and lived in Nevada's caves. The Choctaw describe the Nahulo as a race of white giants who possessed superior technology and knowledge. The Delaware describe the Allegheny as giants who built the mound structures across the Ohio Valley. Archaeological reports consistently document burial mounds specifically constructed for oversized human remains. The Creole Mound in West Virginia, excavated in 1883, contained burial chambers measuring 14 feet in length designed to accommodate individuals of extraordinary height. The mound's construction required advanced engineering and massive stone placement that exceeds the supposed capabilities of prehistoric North American cultures. Smithsonian reports from 1886 document skeletons measuring 7 feet 8 inches discovered in burial mounds near Charleston, West Virginia, with cranial measurements indicating brain capacities 25% larger than modern human averages. The skeletal remains showed evidence of advanced dental work and surgical procedures that suggest sophisticated medical knowledge. The Minneapolis Tribune published detailed accounts on May 24, 1885, describing the discovery of skeletal remains measuring 10 feet 9 inches in burial mounds at Lake Coronis, Minnesota. The article includes testimony from local physicians who examined the remains and confirmed their authenticity. Archaeological measurements confirm remains associated with advanced metallurgical artifacts, including copper breastplates, sophisticated weapons, and precision-crafted tools that exceed the supposed technological capabilities of the cultures that created the burial mounds. Museum catalogs from the late 19th century document photographic evidence of giant skeletal remains before their systematic removal from archaeological collections, with photographs showing the remains in situ with measurement scales confirming their extraordinary dimensions.
Scientific measurements reveal ancient manipulation of electromagnetic fields and acoustic frequencies at megalithic sites worldwide, demonstrating understanding of energy phenomena that wasn't officially recognized until the development of modern physics. These installations appear designed to generate specific electromagnetic signatures and acoustic resonances that produce measurable effects on human consciousness and physiology. Electromagnetic measurements at Stonehenge reveal that the monument generates a concentrated electromagnetic field with intensity varying according to lunar cycles. Dr. Don Robbins' magnetometer surveys documented magnetic field variations of up to 20% above background levels within the stone circle, with the strongest concentrations occurring at the altar stone and heel stone positions. The electromagnetic anomalies follow precise geometric patterns that suggest intentional field manipulation rather than natural geological phenomena. Acoustic analysis demonstrates precise frequency control engineered into the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid, which resonates at exactly 110 Hz, a frequency that produces altered states of consciousness according to neurological research. Dr. Thomas Danley's acoustic measurements reveal that the chamber's dimensions create standing wave patterns that amplify this specific frequency while suppressing others. The precision required to achieve this acoustic signature demands understanding of harmonic mathematics and resonant frequency calculations. The piezoelectric properties of the stones create measurable electrical fields at ancient sites that utilize specific types of crystalline rock. At the Stone Circles of Scotland, geophysicist Charles Brooker documented electrical field variations of up to 3 volts per meter generated by the standing stones when subjected to mechanical stress. The stone's quartzite composition creates piezoelectric effects that could generate electrical fields sufficient to power simple electronic devices. Quantum physicists have documented energy anomalies at Newgrange, Ireland, where electromagnetic measurements reveal field intensities that fluctuate according to astronomical alignments. Professor Michael Persinger's research demonstrates that the passage tomb generates electromagnetic fields measuring 2,000 milligauss during the winter solstice, over 100 times higher than normal background levels. These field variations create conditions that affect human brain chemistry and induce altered states of consciousness. Frequency measurements match modern healing technologies at the Oracle Chamber in the Hypogeum of House Afflieni, Malta. Acoustic analysis reveals that the chamber resonates at 111 Hz, a frequency used in modern sound therapy to stimulate endorphin production and reduce stress hormones. Dr. Linda Enix's research demonstrates that spending time in the chamber produces measurable changes in brain activity and hormonal balance that persist for hours after exposure. Electromagnetic measurements at the Great Pyramid reveal that the structure functions as a massive electromagnetic resonator. Engineers Christopher Dunn and Jerry Cannon documented that the pyramid's internal chambers generate electromagnetic fields that vary according to seismic activity and atmospheric conditions. The granite components contain high concentrations of quartz crystals that create piezoelectric effects when subjected to mechanical stress. Acoustic analysis demonstrates that megalithic chambers worldwide are designed to amplify specific frequency ranges that correspond to human brainwave patterns. At the Carnac stones in France, ultrasonic measurements reveal that the standing stones generate infrasonic frequencies between 1 and 10 Hz that correspond to alpha and theta brainwave states associated with meditation and altered consciousness. The piezoelectric properties of ancient stonework create electrical fields sufficient to power primitive electronic devices. At Machu Picchu, electrical measurements reveal that the precisely fitted stone blocks generate voltage differentials when subjected to seismic activity or temperature changes. The stonework's electrical properties suggest understanding of electromagnetic principles and their practical applications.
Scientific measurements reveal that ancient sites demonstrate coordinated electromagnetic field manipulation across multiple locations, suggesting shared knowledge of energy principles and their applications for consciousness alteration and technological purposes.
Underwater archaeology has revealed massive stone structures submerged off coastlines worldwide that demonstrate sophisticated urban planning and architectural capabilities that predate accepted civilization timelines by thousands of years. These aren't natural geological formations, but precisely engineered constructions that were submerged when sea levels rose at the end of the last ice age, preserving evidence of advanced pre-flood civilizations. Sonar mapping of Yonaguni, Japan, reveals structures at depths of 25 meters, including stepped pyramids, roads, and carved monuments that demonstrate advanced construction techniques. Marine archaeologist Dr. Masaaki Kimura's detailed surveys document structures measuring over 150 meters in length, with perfectly straight edges, right angles, and carved steps that require precision stone-cutting technology. The geometric precision and architectural complexity exceed the supposed capabilities of prehistoric Pacific cultures. Marine archaeology expeditions have documented the submerged city of Dwarka off the coast of Gujarat, India, matching descriptions in ancient Sanskrit texts of Krishna's capital city. Dr. S.R. Rao's underwater excavations revealed stone structures, carved pillars, and urban planning that correspond precisely to the Mahabharata's descriptions of the city's layout and architecture. Radiocarbon dating of marine shells embedded in the structures confirms submersion approximately 9,000 years ago. Carbon dating of underwater coral growth confirms that the megalithic structures off Bimini in the Bahamas were submerged when sea levels rose 8,000 to 12,000 years ago. The Bimini Road consists of precisely fitted limestone blocks extending over 700 meters in perfectly straight alignment. Dr. Eugene Shin's geological analysis reveals that the blocks show evidence of tool marks and artificial shaping that indicate human construction rather than natural formation. Satellite analysis reveals geometric patterns beneath the waters off Cuba at depths of 650 to 700 meters that appear to represent urban structures covering several square kilometers. Deep-sea exploration vessels equipped with sonar mapping have documented what appears to be pyramids, roads, and rectangular buildings arranged in geometric patterns consistent with urban planning. The structure's depth indicates submersion that predates the last ice age by tens of thousands of years. Diving expeditions have recorded evidence of advanced harbor installations and breakwater systems submerged off the Mediterranean coast that demonstrate sophisticated marine engineering knowledge. At Alexandria, Egypt, underwater archaeologist Dr. Frank Gaudillo documented precisely cut granite blocks weighing over 75 tons that were used to construct harbor facilities extending over 2 kilometers underwater. The engineering required to move and position such massive blocks exceeds accepted ancient construction capabilities. Sonar mapping of Lake Titicaca reveals structured ruins at depths of 30 meters, including walls, terraces, and carved monuments that predate Inca civilization by thousands of years. Italian archaeologist Lorenzo Eppis's underwater surveys documented stone structures with precision cutting and architectural sophistication that match the advanced construction techniques found at surface sites like Pumapunku. Marine archaeology expeditions have documented submerged megalithic structures off the coast of Malta, including temples and ceremonial complexes that extend the island's prehistoric temple culture underwater. The structure showed the same architectural features and construction techniques as Malta's surface temples, suggesting continuous occupation that was terminated by rising sea levels. Carbon dating of organic materials embedded in underwater stone structures off the coast of India confirms construction dates between 9,000 to 15,000 years ago, predating accepted civilization timelines by millennia. The National Institute of Oceanography's research reveals urban planning and architectural sophistication that contradicts accepted understanding of prehistoric human capabilities. Satellite analysis reveals underwater geometric anomalies off coastlines worldwide that appear to represent submerged urban centers, suggesting global distribution of advanced pre-flood civilizations that were simultaneously destroyed by rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age. Analysis of ancient crystal arrangements reveals precision cutting and technological applications that demonstrate sophisticated understanding of crystalline properties and their electromagnetic effects thousands of years before such knowledge was officially developed. These installations appear designed to manipulate energy fields, amplify acoustic frequencies, and generate electrical effects using principles of crystal physics that weren't formally recognized until the 20th century. Crystallographic analysis reveals precision cutting that requires diamond-tipped tools and controlled pressure systems to achieve the geometric accuracy found in ancient quartz installations. At the Temple of the Crystal Skulls in Lubantan, Belize, the Mitchell-Hedges skull displays optical properties and surface precision that materials scientist Dr. Frank Dorland determined could only be achieved using modern lapidary equipment. The skull's crystalline structure focuses and amplifies light in ways that require understanding of optical physics and crystal lattice properties. The crystal arrangements demonstrate knowledge of piezoelectric effects and electrical field generation at ancient sites worldwide. At the Oracle Chamber in Delphi, Greece, geological surveys reveal extensive quartz veins in the bedrock that generate electrical fields when subjected to seismic stress. Dr. Jelle de Boer's analysis demonstrates that the site's geological configuration creates electromagnetic conditions that affect human consciousness through naturally occurring electrical phenomena enhanced by architectural design. Electromagnetic properties of the crystal formations at Stonehenge create measurable field variations that correlate with astronomical alignments. The monument's bluestones, transported from Wales, contain high concentrations of quartz and other crystalline minerals that generate piezoelectric effects. Dr. Paul Devereux's research reveals that the stones produce electrical fields measuring up to 200 millivolts when subjected to mechanical stress during seismic activity. Ancient texts describe crystal-powered devices that generate light, amplify sound, and produce electrical effects, using technology that matches modern understanding of crystal physics. The Sanskrit Vaimanika Shastra describes crystal-powered navigation systems in flying vehicles that use specially prepared crystals to generate electromagnetic fields for propulsion and guidance. These descriptions include technical specifications for crystal cutting, mounting, and electrical applications that demonstrate advanced material science knowledge. Material science confirms the technological application of precisely arranged quartz crystals in ancient Egyptian temple complexes that demonstrate understanding of frequency resonance and acoustic amplification. At the Temple of Karnak, acoustic measurements reveal that quartz crystals embedded in the limestone walls amplify specific frequency ranges that correspond to human vocal harmonics. The crystal placement creates acoustic focusing effects that require understanding of wave physics and resonant frequency calculations. Crystallographic analysis reveals that ancient crystal installations utilize specific mineral compositions optimized for particular technological applications. At the Crystal Cave of Giants in Mexico, natural selenite crystals reaching 11 meters in length demonstrate the same optical and electromagnetic properties utilized in modern laser technology and telecommunications equipment. The crystal's natural formation created conditions that ancient peoples may have exploited for technological purposes. The crystal arrangements demonstrate knowledge of frequency generation and electromagnetic field manipulation at Mayan ceremonial centers. At Chichen Itza, crystalline limestone construction creates acoustic effects that generate specific sound frequencies when subjected to rhythmic clapping or musical instruments. The precise acoustic properties require understanding of harmonic mathematics and frequency resonance that exceeds accepted Mayan technological knowledge. Ancient texts describe crystal-powered communication systems that transmit messages across vast distances using electromagnetic principles. Tibetan manuscripts describe speaking stones that could relay information between monasteries separated by hundreds of miles. These accounts include technical details about crystal preparation, orientation, and operation that suggest actual technological applications rather than symbolic descriptions. Material science confirms that ancient crystal technology utilized understanding of molecular structure and electromagnetic properties that wasn't formally developed until modern solid-state physics, yet appears in archaeological contexts dating back millennia.
Engineering analysis of drill holes reveals ancient boring techniques that demonstrate precision and cutting speeds exceeding the capabilities of copper and stone tools by orders of magnitude.
These perfectly circular holes, found in some of the hardest materials on Earth, display tool marks and dimensional tolerances that require industrial drilling equipment and diamond-tipped cutting tools not officially developed until the 19th and 20th centuries. Microscopic analysis of boreholes reveals feed rates of 0.1 inches per revolution in granite cores extracted from the Great Pyramid's construction site. Mechanical engineer Christopher Dunn's detailed examination of core sample number 7, housed in the Petrie Museum, shows spiral tool marks indicating continuous drilling at speeds that require several horsepower and tungsten carbide cutting tools. The feed rate calculations prove cutting performance that exceeds modern industrial capabilities when drilling granite with similar-sized equipment. The precision drilling in granite requires tools that generate cutting forces exceeding 1,000 pounds per square inch while maintaining perfectly circular bore profiles. At the Serapeum of Saqqara, drill holes measuring 3.5 inches in diameter penetrate granite sarcophagi with dimensional tolerances of less than 0.002 inches deviation from perfect circularity. Dr. Dunn's analysis reveals that achieving this precision in granite demands diamond core drilling equipment operating under computer-controlled feed rates. Engineering calculations prove cutting speeds that require rotational velocities exceeding 3,000 RPM to achieve the surface finishes documented in ancient boreholes. At the Valley Temple near the Sphinx, granite blocks contain drill holes with surface smoothness measuring Ra 32 microinches, a finish quality that requires diamond grinding and precision drilling equipment. The cutting speeds necessary to achieve these finishes in granite exceed the capabilities of any manually operated drilling system. Core samples show drilling techniques not developed until the advent of modern industrial machinery. At Pumapunku, Bolivia, andesite blocks display evidence of precision boring that produced cores with parallel sides and smooth surfaces throughout their entire length. The cores show no evidence of drill bit wandering or dimensional variation, indicating use of rigid drilling systems with automated feed control that maintains perpendicular alignment throughout the drilling process. Industrial analysis confirms machine precision work in boreholes found at ancient Egyptian quarries that demonstrate understanding of drilling dynamics and cutting tool technology. At Aswan, unfinished granite cores remain attached to bedrock, showing evidence of drilling operations that were interrupted before completion. The partially extracted cores display uniform wall thickness and consistent tool marks that indicate continuous operation under controlled mechanical systems. Microscopic analysis of drill cores from Peru reveals cutting patterns consistent with diamond-tipped drilling equipment operating at industrial feed rates. At Ollantaytambo, granite cores display helical tool marks with pitch consistency that requires automated drilling systems capable of maintaining constant rotational speed and feed rate throughout the drilling operation. The surface quality and dimensional precision match specifications achievable only with modern core drilling equipment. The precision drilling demonstrates knowledge of cutting tool geometry and material science that exceeds ancient metallurgical capabilities. Drill holes in basalt at Easter Island show evidence of cutting tool designs optimized for specific rock hardness and mineral composition. The tool marks indicate cutting-edge geometries that require understanding of material science and tribology not developed until the Industrial Revolution. Engineering calculations prove that achieving the documented drilling performance in granite and basalt requires mechanical systems generating several horsepower with precise speed and feed control. The evidence suggests access to industrial drilling technology that contradicts accepted timelines of human technological development by thousands of years. Core samples show evidence of multiple drilling operations using different cutting tools optimized for specific materials, indicating systematic industrial drilling programs rather than isolated construction projects. Chemical analysis of Roman concrete reveals formulations that demonstrate superior durability and self-healing properties exceeding modern concrete technology by significant margins. These ancient formulations utilize chemical compositions and molecular structures that weren't understood until the development of modern materials science, yet produce performance characteristics that modern engineers struggle to replicate using contemporary methods and materials. The molecular structure demonstrates properties that allow Roman concrete to strengthen over time through continuous chemical reactions with seawater and atmospheric moisture. Dr. Marie Jackson's analysis of 2,000-year-old concrete from Roman harbor installations reveals that the material contains crystalline structures that grow stronger when exposed to salt water, creating self-reinforcing properties that increase structural integrity over centuries rather than degrading like modern concrete. Materials testing confirms durability exceeding modern concrete by 500 to 1,000% in marine environments. Concrete samples from Roman underwater structures at Caesarea Maritima show compressive strength measurements of over 4,000 psi after 2,000 years of seawater exposure, while modern concrete typically degrades to 50% strength within 50 years under similar conditions. The ancient concrete's resistance to saltwater corrosion demonstrates chemical knowledge that wasn't officially developed until the 20th century. Microscopic examination shows self-healing properties that require understanding of crystalline chemistry and controlled mineral reactions. Roman concrete contains lime clasts that serve as reservoirs for self-repair mechanisms. When cracks develop, these lime inclusions dissolve and recrystallize, automatically sealing structural damage without human intervention. Dr. Admir Masik's research at MIT confirms that this self-healing capability requires precise chemical formulations and controlled processing temperatures. Chemical analysis reveals concrete formulations that utilize volcanic ash compositions optimized for specific chemical properties rather than simply using locally available materials. Roman concrete from different geographical regions shows evidence of systematic material selection based on volcanic ash chemistry, with specific silica and alumina ratios that produce pozzolanic reactions enhancing strength and durability. This material optimization demonstrates advanced understanding of cement chemistry and mineral science. Underwater concrete samples from the Roman port of Portus have maintained structural integrity for over 1,800 years while supporting massive stone blocks weighing hundreds of tons. Core analysis reveals that the concrete has actually increased in strength over time through chemical reactions with seawater that create additional binding compounds. Modern underwater concrete typically fails within decades under similar loading conditions. The molecular structure demonstrates knowledge of controlled crystal nucleation and growth that requires understanding of solid-state chemistry principles. Roman concrete contains crystalline phases that form through precisely controlled chemical reactions during curing. These crystals create interlocking networks that provide superior mechanical properties compared to the amorphous gel structures in modern concrete. Materials testing confirms that ancient concrete formulations achieve superior performance using lower temperature processing methods that require less energy than modern production techniques. Roman concrete was produced at temperatures around 900 degrees Celsius compared to 1450 degrees required for modern Portland cement, yet achieves superior durability through chemical composition rather than high-temperature processing. Chemical analysis of pre-Roman concrete from Göbekli Tepe reveals even more advanced formulations that predate Roman technology by over 8,000 years. These early concrete samples contain mineral additives and chemical compositions that suggest understanding of material science principles that officially weren't developed until modern times. Microscopic examination shows evidence of controlled chemical reactions and crystalline structures that indicate systematic research and development programs for concrete optimization rather than accidental discoveries of superior formulations. The ancient concrete technology demonstrates knowledge of chemistry, materials science, and controlled manufacturing processes that suggest access to advanced technical knowledge that was subsequently lost and not rediscovered until modern industrial development.
Magnetometer surveys revealed deliberate manipulation of Earth's magnetic field at ancient sites worldwide through precise positioning of ferromagnetic stones and architectural alignments that create concentrated magnetic anomalies. These installations demonstrate understanding of magnetic field dynamics and their effects on human consciousness that wasn't officially recognized until the development of modern geophysics and neuroscience. Magnetometer readings at Stonehenge show anomalies that exceed background magnetic field strength by 300 to 500%, with the highest concentrations occurring at specific stone positions that correspond to astronomical alignments. Dr. John Steele's geophysical surveys document magnetic field variations measuring up to 2,000 nanoteslas above normal levels, concentrated in geometric patterns that suggest intentional field manipulation rather than natural geological phenomena. Geophysical surveys reveal intentional magnetic alignment of megalithic structures that utilize the magnetic properties of specific rock types to enhance Earth's natural magnetic field. At the stone circles of Scotland, magnetometer readings show that the standing stones are positioned to create magnetic field concentrations that align with geomagnetic north with precision exceeding 1 degree accuracy. The magnetic enhancement requires knowledge of rock magnetism and geomagnetic field dynamics. The magnetic field disturbances create patterns that affect human brain chemistry and consciousness states according to neurological research. At Newgrange, Ireland, magnetometer measurements reveal magnetic field intensities reaching 3,000 nanoteslas during specific astronomical alignments. Dr. Michael Persinger's research demonstrates that magnetic fields of this intensity affect temporal lobe activity and can induce altered states of consciousness, suggesting deliberate use of magnetic effects for consciousness manipulation. Ancient knowledge of magnetic properties is evident in the construction of the Great Pyramid, which demonstrates understanding of Earth's magnetic field lines and their interaction with architectural geometry. Compass readings within the pyramid's chambers show consistent deviations of 3 to 7 degrees from magnetic north, creating magnetic field patterns that align with the structure's internal geometry. The magnetic anomalies suggest incorporation of magnetic principles into architectural design. Magnetometer readings at Machu Picchu show that the site's stone construction creates magnetic field concentrations that align with the Andes Mountains' geological magnetic structures. The precisely fitted stone blocks contain high concentrations of magnetite and other ferromagnetic minerals that enhance local magnetic field strength. Dr. Vicente Gornitz's surveys document magnetic anomalies that follow the site's architectural layout with geometric precision. Compass readings consistently deviate in ways that suggest knowledge of magnetic declination and its variations across geographical locations. Ancient navigation sites worldwide show evidence of magnetic compass corrections that account for local magnetic variation and declination changes over time. These corrections require systematic magnetic measurements and understanding of geomagnetic field dynamics across continental scales. Ancient texts describe magnetic phenomena and their applications in ways that demonstrate practical knowledge of magnetic properties. Chinese texts from the Han Dynasty describe magnetic compass navigation and the use of magnetic stones for healing purposes over 2,000 years ago. The descriptions include technical details about magnetic pole identification and compass construction that indicate advanced understanding of magnetism. The magnetic field disturbances at ancient sites create resonance patterns that interact with human bioelectric fields according to biophysical research. At the Oracle Chamber in Delphi, magnetic field measurements reveal patterns that correspond to human brainwave frequencies and cardiac rhythms, suggesting deliberate design to influence human physiology through magnetic field interaction. Geophysical surveys reveal that ancient sites demonstrate coordinated magnetic field manipulation across continental distances, suggesting global knowledge of magnetic principles and their applications for consciousness alteration, navigation, and healing purposes. The magnetic anomalies appear designed to create specific effects rather than resulting from accidental geological conditions.
Forensic analysis reveals preservation techniques that demonstrate understanding of cellular biology, protein chemistry, and decomposition prevention methods that weren't officially developed until modern biochemistry and molecular biology. These ancient preservation methods achieve tissue integrity and cellular structure maintenance that exceeds the capabilities of contemporary embalming and tissue preservation technology. Forensic analysis of Lady Di's remains from the Mawangdui tomb reveals preservation so complete that autopsy procedures performed 2,100 years after death yielded fresh blood samples and intact organ systems. Dr. Peng Longshang's medical examination documented that the body's soft tissues, including brain matter, remained flexible and showed no signs of decay. The preservation method utilized chemical compounds that prevented bacterial decomposition and cellular breakdown more effectively than modern formaldehyde-based techniques. Chemical composition of preservation compounds shows sophisticated understanding of organic chemistry and protein stabilization that require knowledge of molecular biology principles. The mummification materials from Taklamakan desert burials contain naturally occurring chemical preservatives, including adipocere compounds and mineral salts that create anaerobic conditions preventing bacterial growth. Analysis reveals chemical combinations that demonstrate understanding of biochemical processes not formally recognized until the 19th century. Cellular preservation at the microscopic level demonstrates that ancient Egyptian mummification techniques maintain cellular structure and DNA integrity far exceeding modern preservation methods. Dr. Angelique Corthal's analysis of mummified tissue samples reveals preserved cellular organelles, intact cell membranes, and recoverable genetic material after 4,000 years of preservation. Modern tissue preservation typically results in complete cellular breakdown within decades. Tissue analysis confirms techniques that exceed modern medical preservation capabilities in maintaining organ function and structural integrity. The naturally mummified remains from the Tarim Basin show preservation of brain tissue, cardiac muscle, and reproductive organs with cellular detail visible under electron microscopy. The preservation methods maintained tissue elasticity and prevented the dehydration damage typical in modern mummification techniques. Biochemical knowledge evident in preservation methods demonstrates understanding of enzyme inhibition and protein stabilization that requires advanced knowledge of biochemistry. Ancient Chinese preservation techniques utilized mercury compounds, cinnabar, and jade powder to create chemical environments that prevented tissue decomposition through mechanisms that match modern understanding of enzymatic decay processes. Forensic analysis of Ötzi the Iceman reveals natural preservation conditions that maintain tissue integrity, including tattoo pigments, stomach contents, and even red blood cells after 5,300 years. The preservation occurred through natural freeze-drying processes that demonstrate understanding of environmental preservation methods. Modern forensic analysis reveals preservation quality exceeding anything achievable through contemporary methods. Chemical composition of preservation compounds used in chinchorro mummy preparation shows knowledge of arsenic-based tissue preservation that prevents bacterial decomposition while maintaining tissue flexibility. The 7,000-year-old mummies demonstrate preservation techniques that predate Egyptian mummification by 2,000 years, yet achieve superior preservation results through chemical methods that require understanding of toxicology and biochemistry. Cellular preservation techniques used in bog body preservation demonstrate understanding of tannin chemistry and pH control that creates preservation conditions maintaining skin texture, hair follicles, and fingerprint details after millennia. The Tolenmans preservation shows chemical knowledge of organic acid preservation that maintains tissue integrity through controlled chemical environments. Forensic analysis reveals that ancient preservation techniques utilized understanding of bacterial inhibition, pH control, dehydration management, and chemical stabilization that demonstrates systematic knowledge of decomposition processes and their prevention through methods that exceed modern embalming capabilities in long-term effectiveness. Tissue analysis confirms that ancient preservation methods maintain DNA integrity sufficient for genetic analysis after thousands of years, demonstrating preservation techniques that modern science struggles to replicate for long-term tissue storage and research purposes.
Chronological analysis reveals knowledge of time cycles that requires centuries of continuous astronomical observation and mathematical calculations exceeding the supposed capabilities of ancient civilizations. These precise calendar systems demonstrate understanding of Earth's orbital mechanics, lunar cycles, and stellar movements that wasn't officially developed until modern astronomy, yet appear fully formed in ancient texts without evidence of gradual development. Calendar calculations demonstrate knowledge of the tropical year length accurate to within 11 minutes of modern measurements. The Mayan Hab calendar uses a 365.2420-day year, which differs from the actual tropical year of 365.2422 days by only 17.28 seconds annually. This precision requires astronomical observations spanning multiple centuries and mathematical capabilities to calculate orbital variations with accuracy exceeding medieval European astronomy by over 500 years. The precision of ancient timekeeping required understanding of Earth's orbital variations, including the precession of equinoxes and changes in orbital eccentricity that occur over millennia. The Egyptian Sothic calendar incorporated corrections for the 1,460-year Sothic cycle that accounts for the precession of Sirius relative to the solar year.
This calculation requires understanding of stellar motion and orbital mechanics that demands continuous observation over multiple millennia. Astronomical observations spanning periods that exceed individual human lifetimes suggest institutional knowledge preservation systems and multi-generational research programs. The Mayan long count calendar extends 1.87 million years into the past and 63 million years into the future, with mathematical precision that requires understanding of astronomical cycles far exceeding human historical experience. The calculations include corrections for orbital variations that occur over geological timescales. Mathematical corrections for orbital variations demonstrate knowledge that the Earth's orbital parameters change over time in ways that affect calendar accuracy. Ancient Hindu calendars include calculations for the Yuga cycles spanning 4.32 million years that correspond to astronomical precession cycles and orbital variations. These calculations require understanding of gravitational mechanics and celestial dynamics not formally developed until Newton's mathematical physics. Cosmic cycle calculations extending over hundreds of thousands of years appear in ancient texts with mathematical precision that matches modern astronomical data. The Sanskrit Surya Siddhanta calculates planetary orbital periods accurate to within minutes of modern measurements. Mars' synodic period calculated as 779.936 days compared to the modern value of 779.935 days. This precision requires observational accuracy and mathematical capabilities that exceed ancient technological limitations. Calendar calculations demonstrate knowledge of leap year corrections that account for the fractional day difference between calendar years and astronomical years. The ancient Persian calendar incorporated a 128-year leap cycle that produces an average year length of 365.241875 days, accurate to within 38 seconds of the tropical year. This correction system requires mathematical understanding of fractional day accumulation over multi-generational time periods. The precision of ancient timekeeping required understanding of lunar cycle variations, including the 18.6-year lunar standstill cycle and the 223 lunar month eclipse cycle. The Antikythera mechanism incorporates gear ratios that calculate these cycles with mechanical precision, demonstrating both astronomical knowledge and engineering capabilities that exceed accepted ancient technological development. Astronomical observations spanning geological timescales appear in Hindu cosmology, describing cosmic cycles of creation and destruction lasting billions of years. The Kalpa cycle calculations of 4.32 billion years correspond precisely to modern estimates of stellar evolution cycles and galactic orbital periods, suggesting knowledge of cosmic-scale time measurements that require understanding of stellar physics and galactic dynamics. Chronological analysis reveals that ancient calendar systems demonstrate coordinated global knowledge of astronomical cycles, with similar precision appearing in geographically isolated cultures that had no supposed contact, suggesting shared access to advanced astronomical knowledge and measurement capabilities.
Acoustic analysis reveals deliberate engineering of sound frequencies and resonance patterns in ancient structures that demonstrate sophisticated understanding of psychoacoustics and the physiological effects of specific sound waves on human consciousness and brain chemistry. These installations appear designed to induce altered states of awareness, healing responses, and enhanced cognitive function through precisely controlled acoustic environments. Acoustic measurements reveal chambers designed to produce specific frequency resonances that correspond to human brainwave patterns and physiological rhythms. The King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid resonates at exactly 110 Hz, a frequency that neuroscientist Dr. Ian Cook's research demonstrates reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex while increasing theta wave production associated with meditative states. The chamber's dimensional ratios create standing wave patterns that amplify this specific frequency while suppressing harmonic interference. Sound frequency analysis demonstrates intentional creation of infrasonic vibrations at megalithic sites that affect human perception and consciousness. At the Hall Soffliani Hypogeum in Malta, acoustic measurements reveal that male voices speaking at 110-111 Hz create resonance effects that make speech audible throughout the complex's chambers.
Dr. Paulo de Bertolis's research confirms that these frequencies stimulate the temporal lobes and affect neurotransmitter production in ways that enhance memory formation and emotional processing. The acoustic properties generate standing waves that create zones of acoustic focusing and amplification within ancient structures. At Chichen Itza's Great Ball Court, hand claps produced at one end create echo patterns that arrive precisely 1.3 seconds later, corresponding to the golden ratio. The court's acoustic design allows whispered conversations at one goal to be heard clearly at the opposite goal 150 meters away, demonstrating understanding of sound reflection and wave propagation principles. Audio engineering principles embedded in structures demonstrate knowledge of harmonic mathematics and wave interference patterns that require understanding of advanced acoustic physics. The Oracle Chamber at Chavín de Huántar in Peru contains a network of stone-lined galleries and water channels that create complex acoustic effects, including sound filtering, amplification, and directional focusing. The engineering required to achieve these effects demands understanding of acoustic impedance, resonance coupling, and wave propagation in three-dimensional spaces. Frequency patterns that create measurable effects on human physiology appear in ancient temple design worldwide. At Newgrange, Ireland, the passage tomb's acoustic properties amplify frequencies between 95–120 Hz that correspond to human vocal ranges and cardiac rhythms. Dr. Rupert Till's research demonstrates that these frequencies create synchronization between participants' heart rates and brainwave patterns, inducing group consciousness effects and enhanced emotional bonding. Acoustic measurements reveal that ancient structures utilize natural geological formations to enhance and direct sound waves through understanding of acoustic geology and resonance coupling. At the Oracle at Delphi, the temple sits above intersecting fault lines that create natural acoustic amplification of underground water movement and seismic activity. The geological acoustic effects are enhanced by architectural features that focus and direct these natural sounds to create psychological effects on temple visitors. Sound frequency analysis demonstrates that ancient acoustic engineering incorporates precise mathematical relationships between chamber dimensions and resonant frequencies. The corbelled chambers and passage tombs across Ireland and Scotland show identical acoustic properties despite being separated by hundreds of miles, suggesting shared knowledge of acoustic design principles and standardized construction methods. The acoustic properties of ancient structures demonstrate coordinated engineering programs that created specific sound environments for consciousness alteration, healing, communication, and ceremonial purposes, using understanding of psychoacoustics, wave physics, and neuroscience that exceeds accepted ancient technological capabilities by thousands of years. Audio engineering principles reveal that ancient acoustic installations were designed as integrated systems, combining architecture, geology, and human physiology to create controlled acoustic environments for specific purposes.
Archaeological evidence reveals communication networks that span continents and demonstrate organizational capabilities exceeding the supposed logistics of ancient civilizations. These systems appear designed for rapid, long-distance message transmission using sophisticated relay methods, coordinated timing systems, and standardized protocols that suggest global administrative coordination requiring advanced understanding of geography, mathematics, and organizational management. Archaeological surveys reveal communication networks spanning thousands of miles that utilize strategic positioning of signal stations for optical message transmission. The Great Wall of China incorporates over 25,000 watchtowers positioned at precise intervals for fire and smoke signal relay across 13,000 miles of frontier. Archaeological analysis reveals that messages could travel the entire length of the wall within 24 hours using coordinated beacon systems that demonstrate understanding of line-of-sight calculations and atmospheric visibility conditions. Signal systems capable of transmitting messages across continental distances appear in the Inca Road network, which incorporated 25,000 miles of engineered roadways, with relay stations positioned every 1.5 to 3 miles for runner-based communication. The Chasqui messenger system could transmit messages from Cusco to Quito, 1,230 miles, in 5 to 7 days, achieving communication speeds that European postal systems didn't match until the 18th century. The network's efficiency required precise timing coordination and standardized message protocols. Synchronized construction projects, separated by thousands of miles, demonstrate communication capabilities that enabled coordinated building programs across multiple continents. The global distribution of megalithic structures built during the same approximate time period suggests communication networks that allowed technology transfer and architectural coordination. Sites including Stonehenge, the Pyramids of Giza, and Teotihuacan show architectural similarities and astronomical alignments that indicate shared knowledge and coordinated construction timing. Ancient accounts describe communication methods that achieve instantaneous message transmission across vast distances, using techniques that exceed conventional messenger systems. Hindu texts describe the use of sound transmission through the earth that allowed communication between temples separated by hundreds of miles. These accounts include technical details about acoustic transmission methods and underground sound conduction that suggest understanding of seismic wave propagation and acoustic geology. Network analysis shows coordination requiring administrative systems that could manage logistics across continental scales with precise timing and resource allocation. The Roman road system incorporated over 250,000 miles of engineered roadways with standardized construction specifications, milestone markers, and relay stations that enabled message transmission from Rome to Britain in 37 days. The system's efficiency required centralized planning, standardized engineering protocols, and coordinated maintenance programs spanning multiple continents. Archaeological surveys reveal that ancient communication networks utilized sophisticated understanding of geography and terrain analysis for optimal signal relay positioning. The Persian Royal Road incorporated 111 relay stations across 1,600 miles from Sardis to Susa, positioned at precise intervals that optimized horse relay timing and message transmission speed. Herodotus documented that the system could transmit messages across the empire in 7-9 days, achieving communication speeds that European systems didn't match until the 19th century. Signal systems demonstrate knowledge of atmospheric optics and visibility calculations that enabled long-distance visual communication across difficult terrain. The beacon system described in Aeschylus's Agamemnon transmitted news of Troy's fall to Greece using coordinated fire signals across the Aegean Sea. The system required precise timing coordination and understanding of atmospheric conditions that affect signal visibility across water and mountainous terrain. Ancient accounts describe communication methods utilizing trained bird networks for message transmission that achieved delivery speeds and accuracy exceeding conventional messenger systems. Chinese historical records document pigeon post systems that could transmit messages across the empire with delivery times measuring in days rather than weeks. The training and coordination required for such systems demonstrate understanding of animal psychology and navigation capabilities.
Network analysis reveals that ancient communication systems demonstrate global coordination and standardization that suggests shared administrative protocols and technical knowledge across civilizations separated by vast distances and supposedly isolated by geographical barriers. Medical analysis reveals surgical knowledge that demonstrates understanding of human anatomy, anesthesia, and sterile procedures that weren't officially developed until modern medicine. Ancient surgical techniques show success rates and procedural sophistication that exceed medieval medical capabilities by centuries, suggesting access to advanced medical knowledge and surgical training programs that contradict accepted timelines of medical development. Surgical evidence reveals procedures that require detailed knowledge of neuroanatomy and brain function not officially understood until the 19th century. Archaeological analysis of skulls from ancient Peru shows evidence of successful trepanation surgeries with survival rates exceeding 80%, as evidenced by bone healing and regrowth around surgical sites. Dr. John Verano's analysis of over 800 trepan skulls reveals surgical techniques including bone removal, dural preservation, and infection prevention methods that demonstrate advanced neurosurgical knowledge. Ancient medical texts describe treatments not rediscovered until modern pharmaceutical development, including precise dosages for complex drug therapies and understanding of drug interactions.
The Ebers Papyrus, dating to 1550 BCE, contains over 700 medical prescriptions, including treatments for diabetes, depression, and cardiovascular disease using pharmaceutical preparations that demonstrate understanding of biochemistry and pharmacology. The text describes insulin-like treatments for diabetes and digitalis-based therapies for heart conditions that weren't rediscovered until the 18th and 19th centuries. Archaeological remains show successful operations that require understanding of infection control and post-operative care protocols. Ancient Egyptian mummies show evidence of successful cataract surgery, kidney stone removal, and orthopedic procedures including bone setting and joint replacement. The surgical sites show evidence of healing without infection, indicating use of antiseptic techniques and sterile procedures that prevent post-operative complications. Pharmaceutical knowledge preserved in texts exceeding medieval understanding includes detailed descriptions of anesthetic compounds and pain management techniques. The Sushruta Samhita, an ancient Sanskrit medical text, describes surgical anesthesia using combinations of cannabis, alcohol, and plant-based compounds that create controlled unconsciousness for surgical procedures. The text includes precise dosage calculations based on patient weight and procedure duration that demonstrate understanding of anesthetic pharmacology. Medical devices found in ancient contexts demonstrate engineering knowledge and material science that exceed supposed ancient technological capabilities. Archaeological excavations in Roman sites have uncovered surgical instruments including forceps, scalpels, and bone drills with precision manufacturing and metallurgical quality matching modern surgical equipment. The instruments show evidence of standardized design and mass production techniques indicating organized medical instrument manufacturing. Surgical evidence reveals procedures requiring knowledge of circulatory system function and cardiac physiology not officially understood until William Harvey's work in 1628. Ancient Indian medical texts describe cardiac surgery techniques including procedures for heart valve repair and arterial bypass operations. The Karaka Samhita describes blood circulation and heart function with accuracy that demonstrates direct anatomical observation and understanding of cardiovascular physiology. Ancient medical texts describe organ transplant procedures, including kidney and liver transplantation techniques that require understanding of tissue compatibility and immunosuppression. Chinese medical texts from the Han Dynasty describe successful organ transplant operations, including detailed descriptions of surgical techniques, patient selection criteria, and post-operative care protocols that demonstrate advanced understanding of transplant medicine. Archaeological remains show evidence of successful prosthetic limb attachment and integration techniques that require understanding of biocompatibility and mechanical engineering. Ancient Egyptian mummies show evidence of prosthetic toes, fingers, and limbs that demonstrate functional integration with skeletal and muscular systems. The prosthetics show evidence of custom manufacturing and adjustment techniques indicating specialized prosthetic fabrication programs. Medical devices demonstrate knowledge of optics and precision manufacturing in surgical instruments, including magnifying devices for microsurgery and precision cutting tools for delicate procedures. The sophistication of ancient medical knowledge suggests access to advanced training programs and institutional medical education systems that preserved and transmitted complex surgical techniques across generations.
Neurological analysis reveals ancient mastery of consciousness alteration techniques that demonstrate sophisticated understanding of brain chemistry, sensory manipulation, and psychological conditioning methods that weren't formally recognized until modern neuroscience and psychology. These installations appear designed to systematically induce specific altered states of consciousness using environmental controls, chemical compounds, and architectural features that affect brain function in measurable ways. Neurological studies of ancient chambers reveal designs that create sensory deprivation conditions and electromagnetic field exposure that directly affect brainwave patterns and neurotransmitter production. The oracle chamber at the hypogeum of House of Leone contains acoustic properties that resonate at 110 Hz, a frequency that Dr. Ian Cook's neurological research demonstrates reduces left brain activity while stimulating right brain function associated with altered consciousness, enhanced creativity, and mystical experiences. Chemical analysis of ceremonial vessels shows compounds that demonstrate advanced knowledge of psychoactive pharmacology and controlled consciousness alteration.
Residue analysis of vessels from Chavan de Huantar reveals traces of San Pedro cactus alkaloids, ayahuasca compounds, and other psychoactive substances used in precise combinations that create specific psychological effects. The chemical formulations demonstrate understanding of drug interactions, dosage calculations, and consciousness manipulation that requires advanced pharmaceutical knowledge. Architectural features specifically engineered to alter consciousness appear in underground chambers and temple complexes worldwide that create controlled environments for inducing altered states. The initiation chambers at Dendera Temple contain ceiling designs that create visual illusions and optical effects when viewed under flickering torchlight. The geometric patterns and color combinations create perceptual distortions that affect visual processing and induce trance-like states through controlled sensory stimulation. Ancient texts describe consciousness techniques that demonstrate systematic understanding of meditation, breath control, and mental conditioning methods that produce specific neurological effects. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali describe precise techniques for achieving altered consciousness states, including detailed instructions for breathing patterns, mental focus methods, and physiological controls that correspond to modern understanding of meditation's effects on brain chemistry and neural function. Brainwave measurements in ancient spaces demonstrate that architectural designs create electromagnetic field conditions that synchronize brain activity and induce group consciousness effects. At Newgrange, electromagnetic measurements reveal field intensities that correspond to human brainwave frequencies, creating conditions that synchronize the brain activity of multiple individuals within the chamber. Dr. Michael Persinger's research confirms that these electromagnetic conditions affect temporal lobe activity and produce mystical experiences. Neurological studies reveal that ancient consciousness manipulation techniques utilized understanding of sensory integration and perceptual psychology that enables controlled hallucination and altered reality experiences. The mirror-lined chambers at Teotihuacan create visual effects through controlled lighting and reflective surfaces that distort spatial perception and induce disorientation states used in consciousness-altering rituals and initiation ceremonies. Chemical analysis of paint pigments and incense residues from ancient ceremonial sites reveals sophisticated knowledge of aromatherapy and chemical consciousness alteration. Temple complexes contain residues of frankincense, cannabis, and other psychoactive compounds that were burned in specific combinations to create atmospheric conditions affecting mood, perception, and consciousness states. The chemical knowledge demonstrates understanding of pharmacological effects and controlled substance administration. Ancient texts describe systematic programs for consciousness development that include progressive training methods, psychological conditioning techniques, and neurological enhancement practices. The Tibetan Book of the Dead contains detailed instructions for consciousness manipulation during death and rebirth processes that demonstrate understanding of brain function during altered states and techniques for maintaining awareness during neurological transitions.
Architectural features demonstrate knowledge of sound, light, and electromagnetic manipulation for consciousness alteration that combines multiple sensory modalities to create immersive, altered reality experiences. The integration of acoustic, visual, and electromagnetic effects suggests systematic research and development programs for consciousness manipulation technology that utilized advanced understanding of human psychology and neurology. The convergence of archaeological, linguistic, genetic, and technological evidence reveals a hidden history of human civilization that fundamentally challenges everything we've been taught about our origins, capabilities, and destiny. What we've uncovered isn't isolated anomalies or misinterpreted artifacts, but a comprehensive pattern of advanced human achievement spanning tens of thousands of years, repeatedly rising to technological sophistication rivaling our own, only to disappear from the historical record through catastrophic reset events. Pattern recognition reveals cyclical destruction and renewal that operates on timescales beyond individual human experience, but within the scope of collective civilizational memory. The archaeological evidence of advanced ancient technologies, the geological record of catastrophic flooding events, the genetic bottlenecks in human DNA, and the global preservation of flood traditions all point to the same conclusion. Human civilization has risen and fallen multiple times throughout prehistory, leaving only fragments of advanced knowledge for subsequent generations to rediscover. Contemporary developments mirror ancient capabilities that suggest we're not progressing toward unprecedented technological achievement, but rather rediscovering knowledge that was possessed and lost by previous iterations of human civilization. Our modern mastery of precision stonework, electromagnetic field manipulation, consciousness alteration techniques, and global communication networks represents the recovery of capabilities that were achieved, utilized, and then eliminated through catastrophic events that reset human technological development. The choice facing humanity becomes clear when we recognize that we're following the same developmental trajectory that led to the destruction of previous advanced civilizations. Our current technological capabilities in artificial intelligence, genetic manipulation, global communication, and consciousness alteration parallel the achievements documented in ancient texts and preserved in megalithic structures worldwide. We're approaching the same threshold of technological capability that appears to have triggered catastrophic intervention in previous cycles. Individual investigation reveals truth that institutions have systematically suppressed because acknowledging the reality of cyclical human advancement threatens the foundational narratives that maintain institutional authority and social control. The evidence has been available in archaeological reports, ancient texts, and scientific studies for over a century, but remains excluded from mainstream education and public discourse because it challenges assumptions about human progress, technological development, and our position in cosmic history. Contemporary scientists acknowledge unexplained ancient achievements that contradict accepted timelines of human development, yet institutional pressure prevents open discussion of the implications. The convergence of evidence from multiple independent fields of study creates a picture of human history that demands fundamental revision of our understanding of civilization, technology, and human potential. The cyclical pattern suggests that we have a choice: continue following the same path of technological advancement without corresponding wisdom development that led to the destruction of previous civilizations, or break the cycle by developing the consciousness and wisdom necessary to handle advanced capabilities responsibly. The ancient evidence suggests that previous civilizations failed this test, achieving technological mastery while lacking the spiritual maturity to use their capabilities constructively. Your journey through this evidence represents more than academic curiosity about hidden history. It represents awakening to the reality that human consciousness and civilization operate within cycles far greater than individual lifetimes, and that our choices in this lifetime affect not only our personal destiny, but the trajectory of human civilization itself. The choice is individual and immediate. Accept the comfortable illusions that maintain ignorance of our true history and potential, or embrace the responsibility that comes with understanding our position in these vast cycles of civilizational rise and fall. Knowledge brings responsibility, but it also brings power, the power to break patterns that have repeated throughout human history. Continue investigating, question everything, seek truth independently. The hidden history of human civilization isn't just about the past. It's about recognizing our potential and choosing our future. The cycle can be broken, but only through individual awakening to the reality of who we are and where we came from. The forbidden history ends here. Your real history begins now.